morning from Edgbaston. We're up here in Birmingham. A blameless Midlands summer day. The sun's soft as butter out there, and a crowd is filling this place up. England to play India in the first semi-final of the Commonwealth Games. The first T20 cricket competition in the Commonwealth Games. The first women's cricket competition there as well. Jeff Lemon and Melissa Story with you this morning to start things off. And the news from the ground is that India won the toss and elected to bat. Both teams unchanged from their previous matches. So, Smriti Mandana and Shafali Verma will be the fire and ice at the top of the batting order for India. Jamima Rodriguez at number 3, the captain Harmanpreet Kaur at 4, Pooja Vastraka, the excellent all-rounder at 5, Tanya Bhatia keeping wicket and batting 6, Deepti Sharma off-spinning all-rounder at 7, Radha Yadav bowls left-arm orthodox spin, she's at 8, Sneh Rana, the off-spinner at 9, and Meghna Singh and Renuka Singh Thakur, the opening bowling combination for India. For England, it'll be Danny Wyatt and Sophia Dunkley at the top. Natalie Siver at 3, although Alice Capsey might come up to that spot in the order if there's an early wicket in the power play. Amy Jones, the keeper. Maya Bouchier, Catherine Brunt at 7. Sophie Eccleston, 8. Freya Kemp, 9. Sarah Glenn and Izzy Wong, the local speedster. And yes, the captain Siver at first drop. So it's all set up for what should be a cracker of a contest. A couple of the strongest teams in the Commonwealth Games competition so far. And a big good morning to Melissa Story.
Good morning. Yeah, this first semi-final, you'd say, is probably the one to keep your eye on. Two very evenly matched teams coming against each other. They've had some classic matches against each other. 2017 World Cup final at Lord's. These two teams, here we are 5 years later. It could be just as thrilling as that occasion. Well,
the Indian team of the current age has a much less fragile sort of lower order than they used to. I mean, back in that 2017 era, it tended to be once you got them about 4 down, it was pretty close to being all out once you got down to 7 and below. This Indian team now has stiffened up that order. They've had a lot more experience at the top end, and they're made of sterner stuff.
They are, and not only that, but they've become a more dynamic team, especially in this format. Traditionally, we've seen them bat a bit slowly, be a bit relaxed in the field, but under the captaincy of Harmanpreet Kaur, they've entered this new era of Indian cricket, and you feel as if every performance they put out on the field is just another promotion saying, give us a women's IPL. Come on, this is what we can do out here in the middle.
So England gathering by the boundary line, the players chatting to each other and waiting for the signal to come onto the field. And here they go now. Natalie Siver leads them out. The regular captain Heather Knight watching on. She'll be sad to be a spectator with the hip injury that she's got. It'll keep her out of cricket for the next few weeks now. But Siver has led the side very ably and calmly in her absence.
She has, and I mean, she's been under the wing of Heather Knight for so long, picked up all the tricks, but also has her own unique almost flair on this captaincy. We've seen England across this competition adopt some very new T20 tactics. Some of their bowlers opting to do just 1-over spells. At some points they've had 6 bowlers in the power play, and I think their aim here will just to not let the Indian batters settle. So much rests on this opening partnership between Smriti Mandana and Shafali Verma. If they get going in the power play, then India could take this away from England. Ultimately, if Catherine Brunt strikes earlier, then there could be some problems for India.
Well, she's made a habit of doing that. 2 of the 3 games so far, she's taken a wicket in her first over. One of the matches, she took a wicket with her first ball, the first ball of the match. So she's been a very good nick, Catherine Brunt, running in, bowling fast and hitting a few runs when she's batted as well. Smriti Mandana and Shafali Verma, such a contrast in styles. Mandana, left-handed, a stylist, elegant sort of player, vastly experienced. She's been playing in this team since she was a teenager. Shafali Verma still is a teenager. She's all power, right-hander, brute force a lot of the time, a lot of bottom hand in the shots, hits down the ground, hits over mid-wicket. And between the two of them, it must be very difficult as a bowler to be able to work out exactly where you need to be bowling to which player at which time.
Absolutely, and England have that same opening partnership with Sophia Dunkley and Danny Wyatt. Danny Wyatt, strong square of the wicket. Sophia Dunkley looks to hit down the ground, and if you can just keep the bowlers off their line, off their length, use your feet in the crease and make most of the depth of the crease as we've seen so often, then it's going to be easy to throw off the bowlers, but this is a new wicket, of course, and it's not a hybrid pitch, so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays and how the ball goes through. Yes,
we don't know how this surface is going to respond, so we've got a fresh turf wicket right in the middle of Edgbaston. You can hear the countdown. Catherine Brunt with the ball in hand runs in from the Birmingham City end and bowls to Mandana, full outside the off stump, driven away off a thick outside edge down to deep third. I'll trot through for a single and get off the mark in unremarkable style, but looked like a bit of movement in the air for Brunt there.
It did, and in the last game we saw Brunt take 3 overs up front, so if things go her way you probably will see the speeds to go on. She's one of those players who's hard to take off. If she's on a roll, then probably Nat Civil would have to drag her away kicking and screaming.
But then she didn't get on for another bowl. She bowled 3 overs, she took 2 for 4 and didn't get another run.
Keep your figures like that. I'm happy to have that. What happens if she got whacked around in the last over?
That's true. You can look at things one way or another way, I suppose. Here comes Brunt, bowling to the right-handed Verma, who's clipping off the pads to mid-wicket, taking a single. Good diving stop at mid-wicket, sliding across the turf.
You can just hear the crowd here in that countdown, how many people there is, and they've actually opened a stand which hasn't been open across this competition to our left, really high up view, just to accommodate the numbers coming in. There's still people coming in between balls, between overs.
2 without loss. The left-hander on strike. Brunt is over-pitching a bit and cracks straight at cover. Sophia Dunkley is standing right in the way. Fields for the second consecutive delivery. No run on that occasion. That ball was hit too firmly to allow that.
And there is the dreaded left-hand, right-hand combination, which is a captain's nightmare. It's a fielder's nightmare. So England will be looking to strike early, if anything, just to break this opening stand up.
It's a fine legs nightmare anyway. England have one of them, Izzy Wong, on the rope. They've got a deep third as well. Full and straight from Brunt, driven down the ground, beats mid-off. The attempted diving stop is fruitless. Natalie Siver, the captain, can only lie face down on the turf. Stare down at the ground as the ball rolls away into the rope. 6 without loss. Mandana on to 5.
Yeah, it was a glorious shot from Smriti Mandana there. She's probably got the best timing in women's cricket, but it looks effortless when she's out there in the middle.
Brunt bowls to her now, and she's just defending off the back foot, punching back past the bowler to mid-off. Happy to respect the good ball.
So Nat Siver there, who fielded that last delivery, is at mid-off. You normally see her in first slip. It's Sophie Eccleston in slip, who in the test match against South Africa, we saw her in second slip across it. So maybe Nat Siver, just wanting to be a bit closer to her bowlers there in a high-pressure game like this, needs to be in one ear.
Makes a bit of sense. Brunt comes up to Mandana, who's playing and missing outside the off stump. That's a good length delivery. Draws her into the shot. A little bit of movement on the angle. And so nearly kisses the outside edge. So a good end to the over for Catherine Brunt. Doesn't take a wicket in her first over, as she's been making a habit of late. 6 without loss, India. And it's interesting too that if Heather Knight were playing, she would certainly be the player used at slip. You know, always has been, always will be. But Sophie Eccleston getting the opportunity to try something else in the field. They keep giving more responsibility to Eccleston, who's one of those young players who's nonetheless played a huge amount.
Absolutely, you forget sometimes that she is so young, but it was interesting, before the women's test match they did almost a kind of X Factor audition routine to decide who was going to go in the slip cordons. They had the group stages go through, and of course everyone wanted to audition for that and get in the slip cordon, and eventually people were chopped away, sent away. You're not good enough for this. And they emerged with Heather Knight, you've got Nat Siver, Sophie Eccleston, and the main 3 slip fielders in the team. It's like brutal.
A chastening experience. Was Simon Cowell involved at any point?
Maybe he was dressed up as an umpire.
Okay.
I'd like to see that.
Okay. Here's an interesting one. Alice Capsey, the bowl, a little bit of off spin in the power play. This is a bold move from Siver. Dropping short Capsey's first delivery, cut away hard. It's straight to cover point, no run.
Yeah, we've seen Sophie Eccleston bowl a bit of spin in the power play, but not Capsey yet. She's just got to be careful not to bowl the drag down.
She's got a long on and a deep mid-wicket. The two fielders out. Floats one up. Down the pitch comes Shafali Verma, driving back past the bowler on the deflection, getting through for a run. And maybe, as the score goes up to 7 for none, maybe the thinking here is that this is throwing out a fishing line to see if you can catch Shafali Verma, because she does love to batter spin. And so if you bowl her something, you throw some filth up there, maybe she won't be able to resist having a go over deep mid-wicket.
Well, maybe, yeah, as well. And of course, Shafali Verma, only 18 years old. Alice Capsey, 17-year-old. Let's do the battle of the teens. See whether you want to get out to the part-time off-spinner who's actually 1 year younger than you.
Oh, real high school areas there.
It's all the drama out there in the middle, the mini competitions.
Sort of John Hughes movie. Capsey comes around the wicket to the left-hander, and Mandano's hitting her in the air down the ground on the bounce to long on. Didn't get hold of that one. I think wanted to hit it higher and wider over mid-wicket, but in the end just chips it. Little driving range shot.
And Capsey bowls a lot slower than Eccleston and Glenn. So again, just that tempting delivery. Do they want to go down the ground, take on mid-off, who's in the ring for Shafali Verma?
8 without loss, India, in the second over. Capsey almost walks to the crease, and down the pitch comes Shafali Verma, and then just drives soberly along the grounds to long on, where Catherine Brunt is fielding. 9 for none.
And we saw in the previous few games Shafali Verma almost trying to take everything from outside the off stump into the leg side, but she's played some sensible shots so far. Clearly a reserved innings for the big occasion.
Capsey around the wicket, darts it in at leg stump, and backing away. It's creamed through extra for 4. That is a sensational shot from Smriti Mandana. Steps outside leg, gets her feet steady, gives herself a firm base, picks the gap, and it just peels off a gorgeous extra cover drive. It goes between mid-off and extra in the end. Her second boundary, 13 for none.
A risk-free shot, from Mandana. India taking no chances here.
Capsey round the wicket, lots of flight, sweep shot from Mandana. 4 more, just behind square leg. Picked the length on that one early. She gets down low and then goes. 2 overs gone, 17 for none.
And there's a lot of India fans or Team India fans in the crowd today. We can spot a few flags in the crowd over to this extended area of seating. And I actually found out from Snehal, who'll be joining us later, that they've also opened stands either side of the press box. So really this is leading towards being a bit of a sellout event. Yeah,
we can see the crowds up in the second tier. The previous matches they hadn't opened the upstairs tiers at Edgbaston, but all of these stands are open today, and it looks like we're on the way to filling it up. So hopefully that's the case today and tomorrow as well. We've had some great crowds in here. The last England game here was about 11,000 people, which is big numbers for women's cricket in this country.
And of course the 150,000 plus tickets sold across this competition already surpassing the T20 World Cup in Australia in overall ticket sales.
So Brunt will continue from the city end, bowling to Shafali Verma, who's backing away and just gliding the ball down to deep third for a single. Almost walks through in the end. So she is playing a measured sort of innings, Shafali, giving herself a bit of time.
She's just a very funny batter to watch running between the wickets. It's almost how you'd expect someone to run through a field of cows and trying to avoid certain things in the grass.
I see, yes. I see where you're driving at with this. Feet going here and there all over the place. She also had to run around Catherine Brunt at one point. Certainly wasn't in the category of a quick single. It's a delay for some reason.
I think they're pushing back in a slip. Amy Jones has come up to the stumps now to prevent any additional foot movement from Smriti Mandana. We've seen them trying to negate this early swing from Brunt by using their feet. So Jones up to the stumps.
Okay.
So Eccleston back in slip.
They've taken out square leg. They've moved the fine leg squarer. But there is a gap out at square leg if Brunt drops short, which she does, and it's pulled away out through square leg and beats Izzy Wong into the rope for 4. Well, that's textbook manipulating your field or responding to the movement of the field, because Brunt, it wasn't short, but it was just short enough, maybe sort of waistband height, and Mandana's able to swivel on it.
And it looks like she's having a word here with Nat Siva, who's next to her at mid-off, of course, they are married. And I think there's been a bit of a disagreement about the field here. So
22 without loss. Brunt bowls to Mandana, who's driving through point, beating the field. Sophia Dunkley running back after it. Another one with an idiosyncratic running style. She's able to reel it in just inside the rope, keep the scoring to 2. Generous round of applause for the pursuit, for the shot, an all-round muttering of good cricket. 24 for none.
So, of course, having not only the captain and your wife right next to you on the field, trying to make changes to your field that you don't necessarily agree with, it can lead to a few more arguments than normal.
I can imagine. Brunt. In bright sunshine. Bowls to Mandana, who's steering the ball past slip for 4. It goes into the rope. Well, Sarah Glenn was back at deep third, but set relatively square, a lot of ground to cover, and that ball goes just past first slip, where Sophie Eccleston is still on her haunches, thinking about what might have been, dreaming about a remembrance of days past, but that catch went past her. She was never a chance to get it.
No.
Second slip would have.
Exactly, and as she's used to being in second slip, probably had flashbacks to when the ball's been flayed at her before, and she's the tallest member on the team, so a full stretch dive couldn't have prevented that boundary.
India 28 for no loss. Brunt bowls to Mandana, who punches the ball away in the air to cover point. No run. So Mandana is flying, as it was in the game against Australia. She made the runs early. Shefali Verma took over after that. So Mandana 24 from 12 deliveries, while Shefali has only faced 5 balls and scored 4 singles.
It is a very similar story to these previous encounters with India.
Yep, they've got a rhythm that's working for them. Brunt bowls to Mandana, who drives and misses into the gloves of Jones, who makes a sharp take standing up to the stumps. So for Catherine Brunt, none for 17 off her first 2 overs. It hasn't been as easy a start as it has been in the past.
I mean, figures of 2 for 4 in her last game. I mean, it's been a bit more expensive. It's been a bit both sides of the wicket, really. And that last delivery there, she actually ended up on the floor. A look of annoyance on her face as she dusted herself down and went back into the field. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe a change next over from that City end. But we are seeing a change from the Pavilion end with Izzy Wong coming into the attack.
Yes, the local hero, Izzy Wong, runs in, bowls quick, has the kind of tennis ball haircut, a little fuzzy, shaved all the way back and dyed a little bit blonde.
Which she does adjust to whatever team she's playing for.
Yep.
So she's matching it to the Team England kit at the moment, but of course playing for the Birmingham Phoenix in the 100. They're an orange and gold kind of team. So I'm not sure whether we're going to see the orange hair from Izzy Wong, the gold.
I have seen that sort of haircut during the Australian Open where they shave the shape of the tennis ball line into the head as well. It can be done. She bowls, so first delivery, fast and straight on the middle stump of Shefali Verma, who's continuing her trend of just tapping a single and letting Smriti Mandana go about her work. 29 for none.
Would you ever consider the tennis ball? I mean, you've got quite an extravagant haircut as it is.
Yeah, it's true. I don't think I have a round enough head. I think you need a nicely rounded, you can't have a long head. You need a nicely rounded head to be a tennis ball. So
Tips from the hairstylist Jeff Lemon.
Izzy Wong's very symmetrical, got a symmetrical cranium. It's an aesthetically pleasing thing. People like symmetry.
I think you should let her know that after the game. Aesthetically pleasing cranium.
I think that might sound.
It might come off as a bit weird.
Silence of the Lambs. So maybe I'll give that a miss. She's up now, bowling to Mandana, who's punching off the back foot to cover point. No run. Danny Wyatt doing the fielding there. Patrols aggressively around that backward point region.
And Wong in this team has given the licence to go in and bowl as quick as possible, usually because Catherine Brunt is holding up the other end. Not being too expensive, Wong has that licence to thrill, but here there's a bit of pressure on her back with India 29 for none.
She bowls to the left-hander, who pulls huge over the leg side for 6. Rocks back Smriti Mandana, and you heard the crack off the bat as that ball went soaring up into the Birmingham sky. Oh, it was flat, it was hard. And it was 6 runs. Smriti Mandana on a tear, 35 for none, India.
That was one of the most glorious cricket shots I think I've ever seen. She just stood there, swung the bat, and the ball just kept going. Literally remarkable.
It's like she was anticipating the pace, relished the pace. You see, a lot of players don't quite know what to do when they face quicker bowling like this, because there's not a lot of it going around in the women's game. Smriti Mandana using that pace to her advantage. What has Izzy Wong got in her arsenal to come back? She bowls full outside the off-stump bottom edge as Mandana tries to flay through the covers. No run. Again, applause from the crowd. They're very supportive. Dot ball, applause. Single, applause.
Well, it's the benefit of having members of the crowd who perhaps this is their first cricket game. Because I know myself, when I've taken friends to cricket, I actually once got clean bowled and they all cheered on the boundary.
Yep.
So everything is applaudable if you don't understand the rules.
Izzy Wong bowls to Mandana, straight and lifted and could be caught. No, just over the head of mid-on. Another boundary. But that was not a totally controlled shot from Mandana. She got the elevation, but not as much as she wanted. And in the end, clears Eccleston by maybe a metre at mid-on, maybe a couple of metres.
India's decision at the toss looking more and more clear. Winning the toss, choosing to bat. It's glorious sunny conditions, and this pitch is looking like a fantastic batting surface.
39 for none, India. Izzy Wong bowls to Mandana, who just opens the face of the bat and takes a run down to deep third. So they're going at 10 and over, 40 off the first 4 overs, India. Smriti Mandana has 35 of those. She's faced 18 balls. We're seeing a masterclass.
And these two in the Indian team are the only 2 of their batters who have a strike rate over 100. So Shafali Verma strikes at around 141 at the other end. Smriti Mandana strikes at 121. So when Shafali Verma gets going, there could be more on the horizon for England. And I think this is one of their moments where you go, throughout this competition, they have not really been in this position. None of the teams in their group have really pushed them to the point where they're asking questions, really saying, who do we bowl next, what do we do? So it's going to be up to Nat Siva to figure out the best combination here, and she's decided it's herself. Well,
when you need to lead others, sometimes you need to lead them by example. Don't say do. 40 for none. Siva bowls to Mandana, who's just defending on the back foot. Circumspect, discreet. Not looking like a player who's flying it along at nearly 2 runs every ball she's faced.
And I mean, if they keep firing at this rate, it's suggesting that India would get to around the 190 mark, which would be by far the highest score in this competition. Of course, these projections never really accommodate the end of the power play.
Siva bowls to Mandana, who's driving high over the leg side. That's enormous once again. Clears the rope for 6. And England are being put to the sword here. Smriti Mandana, that was an on drive that soared over the boundary sponge out towards the Hollies stand for 6. Extraordinary stroke, 46 for none.
Again, just pure power hitting from quite a small woman at the crease, but it's all about the timing. She's one of the most aesthetically pleasing players in the team, and because of that shot, Nat Siva choosing to change her angle, coming round the wicket to Mandana.
She bowls Siva now, and she's ramped away. This should be 4 more. A couple of bounces as it rolls through a very fine leg. And all that Izzy Wong can do is come around the boundary from deep backward square to field. Mandana, clever. She's played down the ground. She's played through the covers. And then she comes across outside her off stump, turns the bat face up and scoops the ball over the wicket keeper. Extraordinary stroke. The 50 up for India halfway through the 5th over. Smriti Mandana's on 45. Siva bowls, pulled out to deep backward square leg. Wong is out there, so they'll only get the single, 51 for 1.
And Shafali Verma has only faced 6 deliveries so far, and it's been a trend across this competition where Smriti Mandana has been going early for India, and when she does occasionally get out, she passes on the baton to Verma, who gets going, and it really is a procession of Indian batters who come hard at you. It's, as I mentioned, it's their new era of batting, and they're not going to let England in their home advantage bog them down.
Siva Coming over the wicket to Shafali Verma, who's just playing across the pad, straight to mid-wicket, can't get a run. And it wouldn't be too often that the bowler would be having a sigh of relief at getting to bowl to Shafali Verma instead of whoever was at the other end, but it would be the case today. A note from our statistical friend Hypercourse, who says that Smriti Mandana's career average and strike rate in T20s are the best against England compared to any other opponent that she's faced. She's got her pet team. Siva's nearly getting through Shafali Verma, a little bottom edge into the pitch, and the ball dribbles back past the off stump. But she's still there. Shafali Verma on 5, Smriti Mandana on 46. It has been an exercise in contrast. It's 51 for naught. And after some words from Melissa Story, it'll be Jonathan Agnew coming in.
It's fantastic to see this Indian team electing to bat first, because over history, traditionally, when they've been put into bat first, perhaps they've gone along a bit too leisurely and not quite brought the attack to the bowlers, which has resulted in some quite below par scores. So in history, they've actually been more successful as a team chasing, where they're forced to be more aggressive, they're forced to be more dynamic. But here we're seeing something quite remarkable, 51 for none after just 5 overs, and England are being forced to bring in Sophie Ecclestone at this early stage just to try and make something happen for England.
Yeah, brilliant start by India. It really is dynamic batting. Ecclestone then round the wicket and just short and pulled away into the leg side. No one out there. It's only the 6th over, so at the end of this, of course, England can put fielders out, but at the moment, still a power play. That was a long hop, and it's been dealt with, and that's an excellent 50. I mean, it really is outstanding batting. It's easy to focus on bowling failings or whatever, but actually this partnership has been outstanding. It really has. 50 not out for Mandana from just 23 balls. Outstanding innings. Not a great ball, that, and Ecclestone does sometimes start with a bit of a loosener like that. That's better. A length ball turned away into the leg side, and let's trot a single to take India to 56 for no wicket in only the 6th over. Outstanding batting. I don't know what England were doing with Capsey there bowling that 2nd over. That was a failure. He got India going. I don't know why they did that. It just really gave momentum to this innings. Now the next ball's turned away into the leg side and picked up there at mid-wicket by Siva, who's got some thinking to do here. Ecclestone again pauses for a moment, long ponytail dangling down her back, and that's driven away to mid-on. It's gone for 4, just out of reach of Izzy Wong. Thought for a moment there she might have dived at that. It was in the air as it went past her, but I think it was always on its way to the boundary. 60 for no wicket.
Yeah, well, they're just maybe she stumbled a bit, got her footing wrong, but you feel as if she could have made the dive, at least got a hand to it, taken some pace off the ball.
I thought so. Ecclestone again bowls a full toss, sides in the air. Now can this be caught? Fielder coming in, can't take it, and it's a misfield. Catherine Brunt on her knees, and the wheels are starting to loosen here, I'm afraid, from England's perspective. This is a really poor start. We'll be under the cosh of this dynamic batting, but a couple of field lapses there. I just think that 2nd over, it just got India going, and they were encouraged to play shots. It's a part-time off-spinner. They played them, and they haven't looked back from then. Ecclestone again bowls short of a length this time, turned out to mid-wicket, and that is the end of the power play. 64 for no wicket. What a platform India have here. And England, well, they're obviously desperate for wickets, that's obvious. But where are they going to get one from?
It really is a nightmare start, and even that almost catch in that last over from Ecclestone came from a full bunger.
Yeah.
They're not bowling their best, and actually it's probably been their bowlers have been the standout over the last few years, who have been able to defend any total for them, but they've looked all over the place, and so far we've seen, I think, 6 bowlers used.
Yeah.
5. This is our 6th bowler being used already, and we're in the 7th over.
Yeah, she hasn't really known where to turn. But Sarah Glenn's coming on. She'll have a wrist spin from the city end, and fielder's out now, so long off, and then 3 on the leg side boundary. As Glenn from round the wicket moves in and bowls, and Mandana forward strokes that carefully. Past her outstretched right hand and picks up a single to the fielder way in the distance out there at long off. Wonderful crowd, it really is. They've opened up all sections of Edgbaston today, bathing in the sunshine. Lovely atmosphere, really is. settling back. It must have been hard for them to know which game to book, because of course it was only fairly late on yesterday that we all found out that England were going to be playing in this particular game. I think, other people might have guessed they might have got the evening game, but here they are now playing India for a place in the final. And they sort of full toss again, flogged into the leg side. She'll try and get two, but in fact the fielder gets quickly enough. It's only one, but another full bunger.
And Shafali Verma here is not looking in great touch. She's not finding the middle of the bat, but because of Mandana's innings at the other end, she's allowed to take her time here.
Mandana again waits, and this is a fuller length. It just pats that back to the bowler, and then looks around at the leg side, thinking maybe next time I'm going to try and smear it into there. But that one, she's just playing patiently. And Bell again comes in, bowls to it, down the pitch it comes, hoisting it high, down to long on, beyond long on for six. Fielder there was poised, waiting, but it just kept going. Beautifully struck out of the middle of the bat. The third six we've seen in this innings so far. Beautiful use of the feet, hoisting it high. 72.
There was the long on back there. She's not afraid to take on the field now, because she knows she can clear them with ease. That's over there, just giving up in the end.
Glenn again bowls, and Mandana gets a one that's short of a length, tucked away into the leg side. Fielder scurrying in. It's deep mid-wicket who gets there first. Throwing the ball back again, and England here know they're really under the cosh. Got to keep their heads up for a start. But they're under quite an assault here. 73 for no wicket. One ball to go in this seventh over, and there's a bit of a miss-hit there. The ball thumping into the pad as Shafali Verma comes down the pitch, trying to hoist that high and hard. Doesn't time it. 73 for no wicket. 7 overs have been completed. That run rate, look at that. 10.4, and India really flying. Snell Pradhan sitting beside me. Lovely to meet you, first of all, Snell. Good to see you. Now you have a big smile on your face. I'm afraid you have to lift up the corners of my mouth a bit at the moment. Great start.
It is an absolutely heart-racing start, and I look at my smartwatch as I say that, and my heartbeat is in the high 90s.
Is it?
And usually that only happens when I'm climbing mountains.
Well, England have a mountain to climb here, I think. They really do. But were you expecting this sort of onslaught at the start?
Yes, like absolutely no question about it. Yes, because we saw glimpses of it in the games against Australia, that India are setting a high tempo for themselves. India are setting really a new template for themselves. And from Smriti Mandhana, she's often described as this stylish player, this elegant player. We often forget that she's one of the stronger members of the Indian team. I've watched her play. We played for the same state team, so I've watched her a lot. And even as an 18-year-old, where she was my captain, where I was 10 years older than her, even as an 18-year-old, she is very impressive on the pull-ups bar, I can tell you that. So the upper body strength that she has, sometimes she doesn't really use it because she prefers to play with a straight bat, but she is a very strong player, which is what we've seen when she's hit over the fielders, even at long on.
Another change of bowling. Got Kemp coming on now, bowling a left arm seam. First ball's full on the leg stump, tucked away for a single out towards mid-wicket, and so they come for a single. Capsule almost losing her footing there. She came sprinting in. 74 for no wicket in the 8th over. Of course, all the 4 teams in action today will play at some stage again tomorrow in the medals playoff. So lots and lots at stake here. These semi-finals, they're always tough affairs, aren't they? You know, often harder than the final, actually. So desperate to get into that final. Kemp again, left arm over the wicket, bowls short of a length, and she almost chopped into her stumps. Just to push the ball away into the offside, got a bottom edge. Haley Jones managing to stop it. She's standing up to the stumps, but almost that little bit of luck that England desperately need.
It's a good point you make about semi-finals. India have actually never won a semi-final of a T20 international tournament, global tournament, and I'm counting the Commonwealth Games as a global tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Kemp again, left arm over, bowls a slower ball. It's hit off the back foot hard, out into extra cover. Tumbling save out there from Capsey, keeps them down to 1. 75 for no wicket in the 8th. Oh, they could be hard games, can't they, semis? Really can.
Absolutely, and India have had that famous semi-final, of course, in 2017, where they knocked out Australia on the back of that incredible individual innings from Harmanpreet Kaur. I think, in my opinion, the best ODI innings of all time. But since then, India have moved from a team that really relied on certain players to having more match winners in their squad.
Kemp again, ponytail swinging, bowls outside the off stump, and she waited there for the slower ball, and again it's nudged it into the offside, and they take one run, 76 for no wicket. And where do England try and break this partnership? It's the pitch is good, as mentioned. It's not a hybrid. We've been watching games on there, a couple to the right. This is actually it's a light green. Proper grass all the way through it. It's played very well so far. That's the next one from Kemp. Again, his scythe in the air. Now surely this will be taken. It is. And my word, England needed that. Taken at mid-off. Slower ball again. Pace taken off it. Scythed in the air. And so finally, England break through and end this terrific opening stand with 76 in the 8th over. Just trying to flog the ball there straight down the ground. Catherine Brunt got underneath it. Well, great start.
It is finally the relief that England were looking for. Not the wicket that they wanted. It's Shafali Verma who's out.
Yeah.
Not Smriti Mandhana, but brilliant pace variation from Freya Kemp. In this over, she's gone all the way from the high of 116 k's per hour to a 77 k's per hour. The wicket ball, 83 k's per hour. Shafali Verma had to wait, and eventually she didn't wait long enough. Didn't get the timing, was looking to bash it straight back over the bowler's head. Just lobbed it up to mid-off, who came around in line with the stumps, completed the catch, and that brings Jemima Rodrigues to the crease, who, after batting at number 5 for most of the last couple of months, has now once again been put in the number 3 role.
Yeah, and she's at the non-strikers end because the batter's crossed there. A rule that will change, of course, at the end of our summer. But for now, if you cross, the catch is taken, you stay in that particular position, in the crossed position, if you like. So Kemp's on her way then, and she bowls again a slow full toss, which Mandhana drives along the ground to mid-off and ends the over. 8 gone now. And can England somehow tighten their grip on this? Well, a new batter in, but as you say, the dangerous Mandhana is still there. A reminder then, 6 o'clock tonight, it's Australia, New Zealand, and that of course all playing for the final 2 games tomorrow, the medal positions, with the loser of this and the loser of tonight's playing first tomorrow at an earlier time too, 10 o'clock, and then 5 o'clock it's the big finale, gold medal up for grabs.
And it's interesting, so much of the narrative in the group stage was about, which team finishes, and therefore how do you avoid Australia almost in the semi-final.
Right.
But in my opinion, India is one of those teams that, some teams are a little apprehensive facing, because on their day, India can beat any team in the world. I said this before the Australia game as well, that Australia might be apprehensive facing India.
Rodrigues is on strike, Sivers bowling, and that's pushed away into the offside as far as Wyatt is fielding at backward point. 76-1, and again there's applause there for a not necessarily exciting piece of cricket, nothing dramatic about it. It was a short of length ball played to point, and the crowd are just in that sort of spirit, as they have been actually throughout this. Maybe there are a lot of people here who haven't been to cricket before. They're just loving the occasion, the event. Rodrigues plays into the leg side this time. She's off the mark, flicking the ball out to deep mid-wicket. Dunkley is in that familiar position out there to our left. 77 for 1.
Either that, or there is a lot of very knowledgeable cricket fans in the ground, and they know that at 77 for 1, a dot ball is something you should absolutely be cheering for.
That could be right. With chanting breaking out now as well. It's a great sight, it really is. I mean, there are a few empty seats, but very few. The Hollies stand, I don't think there's a single fancy dress in there. I mean, normally, when I'm commentating sitting here, you're looking there and you see popes and monks and all sorts of things. Siver bowling, and that's ramped away into the leg side and going to be caught. That's the wicket England won. Mandhana looking to flick it over her shoulder, and she's scooped a catch straight to the fielder inside the circle at fine leg. A terrific innings comes to an end, but England are now regrouping. High fives, hugs and everything else. That is a vital wicket And they do have a chance here just to check India's scoring rate now. There are 2 new batters at the crease. She'd be disappointed she played that, I think. You know, that was only probably lucky to end one way with the field Daisy Wong there up on the edge of the circle. Rich has flipped it straight at her. But a terrific hand from Mandana, who's peeled off her gloves. And she's exiting now over to our left. And that was very, very entertaining indeed. And has got India away to a good start. She's walking off very slowly. I think she's disappointed with that, actually, that shot selection.
She is very disappointed with the fact that she has gotten out at this stage of the game where she was A, the one applying pressure, B, Shafali Verma having just gotten out in the last over. So it's 2 wickets in 2 overs for England, 2 new batters now at the crease, and both wickets have come off slower balls. That last delivery from Nat Siver, 91 k's per hour, didn't give Mandana any pace to work with. I think it was the right shot because fine leg was up. For an on-pace ball, she might have been able to use that pace and scoop it over fine leg. It must be said, this is the first time in international cricket I've seen Smriti Mandana play these scoops. She's been talking about them since she first came to the KSL, where she was talking about learning the reverse sweep from Fran Wilson, and this is the first time I've seen them.
Kaur, the captain's on strike, and she comes leaning forward to her first ball, which is on a good length. And a real chance here for England just to squeeze a bit. I think you're right about the change of pace in that slow ball. I mean, I don't think with that pace ball she's ever really going to get it over Wong's head there. She's just picked the wrong ball to play it. Very easy catch. 77 for 2 in the 9th. Siver again, arms pumping, comes in over the wicket and bowls and calls forward, turning it carefully into the onside. Again, there's a dot. And again, there's applause. And there's 1 ball to go in the 9th over.
This is fantastic, and it'll be good to see that England have kind of gotten themselves back into this game, but also I'm very curious to see the response from India. Do they sit on this start, or do they put the pressure on the accelerator?
Siver again to complete the over. Oh, well, Kaur's playing us a test match at the moment. 3 very immaculate defensive strokes. And so, well, there's a good over from Siver anyway. And just 1 run from it and that vital wicket. And it's 77 for 2 after 9. Well, this is a T20 so entertaining. I mean, it just moves so quickly, doesn't it? And you've had that dynamic start. Now there's a different phase here. 2 new batters, and England have a chance to get back in, but a couple of shots and India will be off ticking again. But that run rate's come down now to 8.5. It was 10.5 when I sat here to start with. A little bit of slowing down, and Ecclestone's coming on here as well now to again try and bowl a tight over, getting up to the halfway stage. 77 for 2. She's bowling to Rodrigues, who looks around. There's actually 3 out now, so it's a squeezing little 2 inside the circle as Ecclestone bowls on the leg stumps, turned away out into the deep square leg region, and they'll take 1 run. So 78 for 2.
This is very good from Nat Siver. She's taking the aggressive option and not keeping all 4 allowed fielders on the boundary. So she's cutting off the singles, trying to keep these 2 in the single figures, trying to keep a little bit of dot ball pressure on them. There's a risk she's running with that cover fielder and extra cover fielder both up in the circle. One of these 2 might choose to go over covers. That's why Ecclestone is bowling that middle stump line.
There she comes then, bowls Kaur forward again, or rolls away to mid-wicket. Forward there by Kemp, and there's no run. Ecclestone again, they might choose to put one out at a moment. This is the 3rd ball of the over. Comes in round the wicket and bowls, and that's turned away past, oh no, not past the diving mid-wicket. Brilliant save there from Siver, flinging herself full length to her right. That looked to have gone past her, but that's excellent, and England just picking up their game now. A couple of wickets has helped them. 78 for 2.
Harmanpreet Kaur still on not off 5 balls now.
She hasn't played a shot in anger yet. I think I'll be putting a fielder back now, to be honest. Ecclestone bowls to Edges forward, in on the pad, appeals left before wicket. Wants to be given out. Given out LBW as an immediate review. She was on the front foot, but the boiler-suited umpire there raised her finger very quickly. Ecclestone's delighted.
Director, we have a player review for LBW. The original decision was out. I've checked the front foot and it's a fair delivery. Can we go to front on vision, please?
Big moment this. India's captain, LBW for naught. She did review it very quickly. Claire Polisak is the 3rd umpire. You'll hear her voice in a moment. Did she nick it? That's the first question. Oh, I think she did.
Thank you. Ball and bat are close together. We have ultra edge when ready, please.
Difficult to tell from that first picture, but I reckon there's going to be an inside edge shown here. It was certainly very close. And it was a
Ultra
quick
edge
review,
building
the
team.
sort of review that you see when the batter knows that they've edged it. I see Heather Knight sitting there, incapacitated, of course, with a slightly long face. I think she's got the same hunch that we have here. It's taking a long time for this technology to work again, I'm afraid. A very long time. Must be agonising for the batters, but I think she's confident.
Ultra edge still coming.
Let's have a look.
She reviewed just as quickly in the last game as well, where there were 3 reds. So
Yes. Come on, everybody. Press the button. Crowd's had enough as well. Come on. Everyone's just standing around waiting. Right, here we go. Ultra edge.
Thank you. Just bring that back to.
Let's have a little look.
please.
Oh. Is that a flat line or not? I think that's really difficult to tell.
Yeah, thank you, Gavin.
very faint spike on ultra edge, not a definitive spike, but there does seem to be a deviation in the ball, which I can see just the trajectory of the ball change after it passes
Yeah,
the
thank
outside
you.
or the
Bring that
inside
back.
edge.
Thank you. I can see.
You wouldn't want that as your heart
there
monitor,
is
would you? I mean, I don't think
a
there's much of a pulse there. There's something, there's a little bit of a flicker.
I'm going to get him to change your
But
original decision.
that is being given as an inside edge. I think that's right. I mean, it looked like an inside edge. So that's overruled. Call survives, and she knew. When you take all of those things into account, that's a good decision. But it was the tiniest flicker on the ultra edge reading there. But I think it's a good decision, or good reviewed decision, put it that way. And you can see on the screen. You hardly have to wait for that ultra edge, really. Eccleston again then bowls, and once more Call plays into the leg side. This time she beats the diving Siva.
Comms change next.
And they take a run, 79 for 2.
That's a fantastic start from Sophie Eccleston, and that's the big really change that you have with Mandana getting out, that the left-hander is out and the left-arm spinner can come into the game with 2 right-handers.
Eccleston bowls, and it's flicked straight to mid-wicket. Terrific over. And the pressure starting to tell now on India. 79 for 2. We're halfway through. That run rate is now below 8. Snehal, more thoughts from you? And then just coming in here.
Just tracking how this game is kind of changing. The 7th over went for 9 runs. Then the 8th over where Shefali Verma was out, just 3 runs and a wicket. 9th over where Smriti Mandhana got out, 1 run and a wicket. The over since then, we've had just 1-2 runs from the last over and a half a chance, half a review, almost a wicket for England. So England reasserting themselves in this game. India have the cushion of that start, but it's something that can evaporate pretty quickly if you bat defensively.
Well, what a contest it's turning into. If you've got a ticket and you're not here yet, get on your bike. Start of a new over. Kemp bowling outside the off stump and just a checked drive away from Harmanpreet Kaur out to deep cover. 81 for 2.
One of the reasons India might be batting a little conservatively is they have gone with an 11, which is a batter short. Tanya Bhatia has come in as a specialist wicketkeeper.
Yep.
I say specialist wicketkeeper. She can bat, but she's no Yastika Bhatia, who was the other wicketkeeper in the squad.
Yeah, she's certainly not a hitter, Tanya Bhatia. Kemp bowls outside the off stump, driven away, square drive, threads the field for 4. Rodrigues, gorgeous shot, Calypso. A drive through backward point, and that was off the full face. They've got backward point fielder in there, but ball just streaking past Danny Wyatt and away for 4. 84 for 2.
She's a familiar face for English crowds, isn't she? Was a crowd favourite during the first season of the Women's 100, playing for the Northern Superchargers. So she knows how to score runs in these conditions.
Kemp, left arm over to the right-hander, who drops a much more subtle drive away for a single. Trots through, 85 for 2. So why did India decide to go with Tanya Bhatia, who's quick between the wickets, can bustle around and sort of make you a 15 not out or something like that, but isn't a boundary hitter, as compared to Yastika Bhatia, who's been so impressive since she came into the side second half of last year. We'll come back to that after this ball from Kemp, who's bowling to Harmanpreet, hitting her on the pad, appealing, nothing doing, no run.
I went to training yesterday, and the coach had a press conference pre-semi-final, and that was the first question I asked. And basically what he said is that they value her keeping, and she is, I would say, one of the best keepers in world cricket, standing up to the stumps, allows the pace bowlers, all the pace bowlers, to operate with her standing up to the stumps. Yastika Bhatia did miss a few half chances in those first couple of games. Despite being given a long run in the Sri Lanka series, they've decided in crunch games they value wickets, they want a specialist wicket keeper.
Kemp bowls to Harmanpreet Kaur, who drops the ball away to mid-wicket, again straight to the field, so the scoring rate has slowed down, 6 from the over so far.
So India really sacrificing that, but they're relying, depending and trusting the likes of Pooja Vassakar, Sneha Rana, who haven't had a bat yet. Deepti Sharma showed off what she can do in the last game. Jemima Rodriguez got runs.
Kemp runs up to bowl to Harmanpreet Kaur, who's driving down to mid-off, and there'll be no run after 11 overs. India 85 for 2 after that flying start. At one point their projected score was over 200. It's been dialed back to 155 now, but 9 overs to come. And I think Pooja Vastraka coming back into this side is a huge addition, batting and bowling. She's such a powerful striker, but also so useful as a seam bowler as well.
Adds that balance, which is what really India were missing. And on this kind of a pitch where you don't get the ball turning much, the ball from the spinners really slides on and you can hit through the line of the spin, you need that pace bowling option, you need that third pace bowling option, which is what India missed against Australia. You had Renuka Singh and Meghna Singh, but Pooja Vassakar giving that third seam option. She's good enough to open the bowling, good with the new ball as well, and a kind of player who really is, I'm finally excited that we're going to see her in T20 leagues across the world. Has just secured a WBBL contract.
Yeah, looking forward to that very much. Izzy Wong starting off from the pavilion end, on leg stump, whipped away by Jemima Rodriguez, out to deep square leg. They'll get through for a single to Maya Bouchier, charging off the rope. 86 for 2. Izzy Wong bowled 1 over earlier, went for a dozen runs, but took the vital catch to dismiss Smriti Mandana after one of the most thrilling opening batting innings I think I've seen in this format. Just about the best I've seen Mandana play. I've seen her do that at domestic level, but to take apart an attack like this at international level. Wong bowls to Harmanpreet, who clears a front leg and slaps her over mid-on for 4. Well, that's a confident shot, a good stride in, simple swing of the bat, and Freya Kemps has to run back to the rope to collect the ball. India 90 for 2.
Yeah, not surprised that Harmanpreet is confident. Her last few scores, 52, 75, 44, 39 not out, 31 not out. This is a player in form, and she's given herself some time, and now she's changing gears.
Wong bowls to her, and she's playing the pull shot. It's straight to Bouchier, deep square leg. 91 for 2.
And it was very interesting, the transition really in Indian captaincy after Mithali Raj retired from the ODI format and effectively from all cricket. Harmanpreet Kaur given the charge in both formats, given that consistency, that really drawing board where you can work together. And there have been some interesting things happening within that group, that playing group since then.
Wong bowls to Rodriguez, straight, punched down the ground. But Kemp will be able to get across from mid-on to field. There'll be no run.
When India toured Sri Lanka, which is the first series really after that World Cup and after that change in captaincy, they had a players-only meeting. Okay. They had really a chance where all the players would get together and decide, what do we want for this team? What kind of cricket do we want to be known for? What legacy do we want to leave for the next generation?
Wong bowls to Rodriguez, who's pulling a short ball top edge down towards fine leg. She'll get through just for the 1 run, 92 for 2.
And one of the things they identified is play a slightly more aggressive brand of cricket than we have done before. And one of the words that Pooja Vassakar, one of the younger members of the team, came up with was actually killer attitude.
Right.
And that's really what we've seen from India in this tournament. And they did seem more aggressive in Sri Lanka as well, being able to come back from difficult positions and still post good scores. So there's a belief in this team that they can win from any position.
Wong up to bowl to Harmanpreet Kaur, who's defending from the crease. A good length ball. 12 overs gone. India 92 for 2. Still going along at a decent rate. That is interesting that there's that contrast between the eras, because In many ways, Mithali Raj, towards the end of her career, seemed like a player from an earlier era. The way that she captained, led the side in a way that involved sitting back a bit more. That was the way she batted. She'd often come in and just knock the ball around a little bit, sort of potter along at a strike rate of 50 or so before lifting it later in the innings. Was always dependable for scoring runs, but wasn't willing to push in that same way. And Harmanpreet has always seemed to have more of that latent aggression, more willingness to use it. So that will be interesting to see if that keeps coming out in this Indian team. It certainly has in this innings. So Sarah Glenn to bowl her leg breaks off a very short step, and Rodrigues is backing away, driving down to mid-off, no run.
I don't think that's like entirely a fair of Mithali Raj's captaincy career, because she captained over such a long span, and from one era she really did help the Indian team push into another era, but that next step it's for someone else.
Glenn drops short, pounded over mid-wicket, could be cut off in the deep. Danny Wyatt motoring around, and she does get there. It protects the boundary. 93 for 2.
I think this is the over where we're going to see Harmanpreet's personality come out. She was slightly watchful against the pace bowlers, slightly watchful against Eccleston, but if she had to pick someone to go after in this England attack, I think it might be Sarah Glenn.
Glenn bowls to Harmanpreet, a little short, cut away, but she can't get through the field at point, and there'll be no run. Yeah, it felt as though Mithali Raj was essential to that Indian team for probably the first 15 years of her career. She was the one holding everything together. She was the glue. She was essential. And maybe just the last couple of years or few years, her style of game hadn't quite caught up. Sweep shot. Goes for 4. Harmanpreet pounds it square. Very flat. One bounce. In between the fielders. Over the rope. And it's gone down the race. So we've lost an England player who's having to climb into the crowd down there to see if she can retrieve the ball from underneath the super sopper, which is parked down with the ground staff. There's another couple of substitute players running over in the bibs to try to retrieve the ball. Well, that's one way of affecting the condition.
I'm glad that COVID protocols now allow other people to touch the ball, and it's not just that one player who's on the field who has to run after the ball. She's finally resurfaced from behind the super stopper, and the ball is back in play, being thrown in by the substitute. But now watch out, we've seen the hard sweep from Harmanpreet Kaur. Sophia Dunkley has moved to a slightly straighter deep square leg. Watch out now for the lap sweep with this area at fine leg completely vacant.
97 for 2. Glenn bowls to Harmanpreet, who plays the lap sweep down through a vacant fine leg. A little round of applause for Snehal Pradhan, as well as for the shot, and Dunkley, who sprints across, taps the ball back to Wong, saves a couple of runs for her team. Good shot, good fielding, good commentary. 99 for 2.
This is a shot we've seen Harmanpreet Kaur develop over the last really 3 months. She's multiple times in the tour to Sri Lanka started her innings, first ball she faces with a lap sweep. So it's a shot she's really confident about, and now a short fine leg comes in.
Glenn bowls to Harmanpreet, who advances and drives down to long off, making sure that she's mixing things up, using her feet, shifting around. 13 overs gone. The 100 comes up for India. Not the competition, the score. 100 for 2. Harmanpreet Kaur on 14. Shamima Rodrigues on 10. So an absolutely blistering start from Smriti Mandana. Brought up a half century, 23 balls. It's India's fastest in this format. Broke her own record. She set the record a couple of times previously for India. So I think the top 3 now are all Smriti Mandana. So she's won gold, silver and bronze. She's trying to head for a gold medal match here. England able to pull back some measure of control. So what can they do from here? They've got 7 overs to come. That means 48 deliveries. That means if India go well, they could comfortably be at 160, 170. If England go well, they might keep them to 140 or something like that if they could take wickets. Slow the scoring. Kemp comes up to Harmanpreet, who steps across to the offside and belts her for 6. Goodness me. That has carried almost all the way to the fence on the full. It's just about cleaned up a camera operator down on the boundary line. And that is a mighty swing over mid-wicket from Harmanpreet Kaur. Just a little skip and then absolutely tees off through the line. 106 for 2.
Yeah, Harmanpreet, who was 2 of 10 balls at one point, has now moved ahead of a runner ball, 20 of 19, 2 fours, 1 6, and I think deep mid-wicket in place, we might see a slower ball now. Change of pace from Freya Kemp.
We see a bouncer, and it's pulled away in the air. Could be caught. Bouchier takes a wonderful catch, diving in from deep square leg, soaring above the turf, both hands out in front of her body, and the ball does not jar free. Well, Harmanpreet Kaur got a good piece of it. It looked like it was dropping short, but Maya Bouchier has contributed to her side here. 106 for 3 in the 14th.
Fantastic catch this from Maya Bouchier. So difficult running forward. She has to check her pace as well because she does not want to overrun the ball. She has shown that she is a brilliant contributor in the field for this England side, and an innings that was just looking to bloom or almost erupt from Harmanpreet Kaur is cut short here. A critical wicket for England, and score 106 for 3. The 14th over, this brings in the left-hander Deepti Sharma. Now, in maybe days gone past, you would have said this is the time to send in Pooja Vasakar, but I think India have identified that Deepti Sharma has improved her power hitting game. She has the advantage of being a left-hander and so can push the ball to different sides of the ground. She's improved her offside game as well. Doesn't just hit to mid-wicket. This is a test really for India's depth. The depth that they've trusted, the depth that they've bet on. And this is the time where England can come back into the game and look to restrict India under 150, which I think will be a big psychological win if they can manage to do that.
Absolutely. Harmanpreet out for 20. This is the point where you see whether India are willing to keep the foot down. They're willing to really keep attacking through these last 6 overs with Vastraka left to come in. Sneh Rana, who's also very good with the bat. Radha Yadav can hit a little bit. Kemp up to Deepti Sharma. Bowling on the leg stump, turned away down to fine leg for a single. 107 for 3, so the over's gone 6 wicket single. We've had a bit of everything.
Oh, it's been fun this game, and it's been fun throughout the competition. Whenever some of these top teams are playing, we've seen a very high standard of cricket. We've seen the odd mismatch as well. We've seen the odd game where the top teams have played and just one team hasn't turned up, but it's been good cricket.
Well, this match certainly has been. Kemp bowls full, slapped away over mid-off for 4. What a shot from Jemima Rodrigues. The back pad, the knee roll, kissing the turf as she gets down low. Just sends the ball flat and hard and skimming over the head of mid-off. 111 for 3. 6 wicket single 4.
Bring it on, bring it on. This over is really blockbuster entertainment. We're seeing a little bit of everything. What we haven't seen so far is a slower ball still, and I think that's the way to go against these Indian batters.
Kemp bowls to Rodrigues, who reaches outside off stump and plays a late cut down to deep third. Takes the single, 112 for 3. So what haven't we had in this over? We need a 3, or maybe a head high no ball. Maybe a hit wicket.
5 wides.
5 wides. Spice things up. We're at the all-you-can-eat buffet at the moment for spectators. Kemp trying to make sure it's not that way for India's batters. Left arm over to the left-hander Deepti Sharma, missing out down the leg side. There is a wide. Not 5 of them, but we've got 1 of them.
Yeah, it'll be hard to get 5 wides with Amy Jones behind the stumps, even standing up to the pace bowlers. Even when they pitch short, she is so good. Just one of the best wicket keepers in the world. And this one not far from a stumping. Deepti Sharma just managing to keep her weight on that back foot, but that mid-on is up. Mid-wicket is empty. Deepti will be looking there.
Kemp bowls to her, and she's just defending, almost falling over towards the leg side as she gets in behind that ball. Keeps it out, however. 113 for 3 after 14 overs. So that means 6 overs left. 36 deliveries, 36 legal deliveries to come. This match in the balance. Snehal Pradhan is off for a break. Melissa Story is back. Hello.
Hello. I've been making some riveting notes using Alex Hartley's leftover gel pens from the kids section. So I've got some neon orange notes here, which do suggest I did write these myself. They didn't just materialise like in Harry Potter.
Yep.
But England's had a bit of a breeze this competition through the group stages.
Okay. Sarah Glenn off her 3 or 4 step run up. A huge swipe across the line from Jemima Rodrigues, and she misses out and almost ends up doing the splits. That could have been quite uncomfortable as she aimed for the leg side to a ball that was turning away from her.
It's not often you see that much turn from Sarah Glenn. She usually bowls top spinners, but that one really the traditional leg spinner.
Well, it foxed Rodrigues. Flat one from Glenn, short and cut into the ground on the bounce to cover. Another dot ball. Precious scoreless deliveries. So Sarah Glenn rushing through the over. So we'll come back to...
Well, we can just see here that we're having she's changing her gloves or pads or something. I think when the ball hit her there, Jemima Rodrigues, she's had to readjust her gloves a little bit.
Glenn bowls to her now down the leg side, swept straight to short fine. 3 dot balls in a row. This is terrific stuff from Sarah Glenn. You can turn off the scoring for a little while. You start the over with 36 balls remaining in the innings. You whittle that down to 33. They haven't added a run. Rodrigues takes a moment to compose herself. Waits for Glenn, sweeps out to deep square leg, only a single. Good over continues. 114 for 3.
In the last over, next was Jonathan Agnew pointed out that there's only been 30 runs off the last 7 overs, so a complete deceleration for India. They need to really find that momentum again as we go into this final 5. They need to look for that total around the 150 mark. You feel they have a strong bowling lineup and plenty of options, which England will be aware of.
Yep, but England have been chasing well the last couple of years. Glenn around the wicket to Deepti Sharma, who can't get a run. Well, increasingly good over from Glenn. Not what India need. Have to find a way to attack this kind of bowling. She's just bowling straight, pretty quick, pushing it through, getting that extra bounce that she gets because of her height. Sarah Glenn in that mould of fast leg spinners in T20 cricket. Ends the over, floating one up, driven across the line, big inside edge from Deepti Sharma for a single out to deep backward square leg. So after 15 overs, it's 115 for 3. Alyssa, talk us through your bright orange notes while Jonathan Agnew comes in to join you.
I'll try and decipher these notes as they've got brighter and brighter, I think. But talking about the group stages, England breezed through those group stages, and I think they probably would have hoped that their game against New Zealand the other day was a bit of a better competition. New Zealand batted first, they were skittled quite easily, and it wasn't much of a game for England in the end. India, on the other hand, they're in the group with Australia. It was their first game, the opening game of the competition. And Australia and India, it was a fantastic battle. I think 13 runs in it in the end. So they've had a lot more practice and closer competitions in their group. They would have had better practice for this game, and it's probably the reason they're 115 for 3 now. But England have clawed this back nicely with their spinners.
They certainly have. It just shows what wickets can do, doesn't it? 115 for 3 then. Eccleston's back on again, bowling over the wicket. Her first ball's paddled away into the leg side. Past Amy Jones's right gauntlet. It's going to go into the boundary. Fielder out there can't get it. And as Bunsen burners send the flames up into the sky at the far end. 119 for 3. India needs some boundaries. They had not quite ground to a halt, but certainly they lost a lot of momentum after that brilliant opening partnership, Mandana and Verma. But it's been harder work for them since then. 119 for 3. And the next one's paddle away again, and it's going to again, I think, head into that boundary. The fielder down there is giving all she can to get there. A little paddle down the leg side. It's a flick of the bat. And she's picked a place absolutely perfect. 123 for 3 in the 16th over, and more discussions going on now about this field. Nat Sivers coming over to talk to Eccleston. Both balls were leg side, to be fair. I mean, they weren't absolutely on the money, but no obvious change to that field. But she's now going to come around the wicket, try and tighten that angle up a little bit, which makes sense. And the batter looks around. There's a big gap down there still. She fancies that little ramp sweep. 123 for 3. Eccleston moves in bowls, tossing it up. Down the pitch she comes, driving hard. Long on's running round here. It's Kemp who'll pick up, throw the ball in. And it comes on the bounce to Amy Jones down there at the far end. 124 for 3. Good intent being shown.
Yeah, Deepti Sharma here. Snehal mentioned that she's really adapted her game. She's staying up to date with the modern T20 format to make sure she keeps that spot in the side, and those last 2 ramps showed that innovation and then met with the counter punch down the ground.
Rodriguez then, there's 4 in the circle in the offside. Eccleston comes in bowls, so she thumps it down the ground, almost takes out the non-striker actually. And Catherine Brunt below us here winds up a throw, sends it on the bounce. 125 for 3. 2 balls to go in the 16th over of this match, and glorious sunshine of a very good crowd. All, of course, being played for a place in the final tomorrow. Eccleston round the wicket, bowls, and that's hit into the onside. Doesn't quite get hold of that, I don't think. If she had, might actually have carried all the way down to Kemp, who's fielding below us here. But 1 run again, 126 for 3. 6 o'clock tonight is Australia-New Zealand, the same situation. Both sides looking to get to tomorrow's final, but there is the playoff, of course, for the bronze medal as well. This is short outside the off stump, chopped away, down to the edge of the circle. Tumbling save there, keeps them down to 1. 127 for 3. 4 overs to go then. And if you are just joining us, well, it's a terrific opening start. Mandana and Verma. Mandana 61 from just 32 balls. Verma 15 from 17, but they put on 76 in the first 8 overs. But then the wickets fell, and so it slowed down a little bit. 127 for 3, and Nat Sivers turning to Catherine Brunt to come and bowl from that phone. I was amused by what you were saying earlier about sort of the wife situation here. And of course Nat Siver and Catherine are married. I was trying to think of the same thing if my wife had been captain at mid-off when I was bowling. I think it would have been ugly.
I think we'd all be in danger if that was the case. But
it would have been ugly.
There's been some funny circumstances where they've been fielding, of course, where Siver or Brunt have dropped catches off each other's bowling.
Must be tricky.
There's a bit of, like, you can imagine it's quite a quiet car journey home, and actually at the women's test, Nat Siver misfielded a ball, and Catherine Brunt, who was sat in the stands not playing that test, went and screamed onto the pitch that she was going to divorce her.
It would just be there in every argument, wouldn't it? I mean, for years to come.
Do you remember that catch you dropped?
Yes,
at point?
oh yes, yes. Anyway, we've got Brunt back, 127 for 3 from the City end. Here she comes down, bowls outside the off stump, chopped away past Jones, who's standing up to the wickets. And it's a single just down to our right here. 128 for 3. We're in the 17th over. Things really building up. There's a real edge to this game, as there always are with semi-finals. Just that you just desperately don't want to lose a semi. Final, well, you've got there, and of course it's disappointing if you lose, but you just are so driven to get through to that final. And the loser here will go into that playoff for the bronze medal tomorrow, so it's not all lost, as it were, but the gold and the silver will have gone for whoever loses today. 128 for 3, field changing round. Only 4 out in women's T20 matches, of course. It's 5 in men's, but tighter boundaries. I think it's a good decision, actually. It would be too restricted, I think, to have 5 fielders out. 128 for 3. Brunt round the wicket, up she comes now and bowls outside the off stump. Bit of an ugly stroke there from Deepti. The bails come off, but I think that was Amy Jones's glove actually that knocked those off, flashing away there on the ground. She puts them back in place again.
It's the perfect time for Siver to come to her experienced bowlers. She's got 2 left in the bank, Catherine Brunt.
Here she comes again, pounding in from round the wicket. She bowls it's a bouncer, and I'm just looking at that for height. It's not taken cleanly by Amy Jones, and they scuttle her by. That was all a bit ugly. And Catherine Brunt's not happy at all, swinging her arms around there. But it wasn't taken. It was a bouncer, which when the keeper's standing up was always a bit tricky. I think that Amy Jones might have been looking more at the umpire there to see whether it's going to be called a wide or not.
It did look very high in the replay, and we always talk about poor Amy Jones stood up to the to the stumps when Catherine Brunt's bowling. We're not sure yet if there's a signal she does to her keeper to indicate she's going to be bowling a bouncer. So most of the time, Amy Jones is in the dark about whether she's going to be taking one by her ankles or up by her head.
Fine leg comes up, just actually, it's all a bit late there, and the umpire quite rightly said, hang on a minute, go back and start again. Fine leg came up, and point was put out. So deep square leg, deep mid wicket, long on, and deep point. The fielders in the deep. 129 for 3, and Brunt comes back to start again. Jones still standing up to the stumps as Brunt bowls a slower ball, hit hard off the back foot, only as far as extra cover though. 129 for 3. Maya Bouchier out there at deep point. And what a catch that was. You know, that was one of the catches I've seen this summer, I must say. It was a brilliant catch. Coming in from a low struck, firm shot at deep square leg, a diving full length forward is a brave catch for a start. But to actually complete it and the ball not to bounce out of the hands and all those sorts of things, it's brilliant. It's a really outstanding catch. You're not sure it's going to not quite get there. It's going to get you in the teeth. 129 for 3. In comes Brunt, bowls, batsman steps away there, goes for a bit of a swipe. And Brunt hurled the ball at the stumps there entirely needlessly, and if that had hit the stumps and ricocheted off, that could have been an expensive mistake. But I think she's simmering a bit.
Yeah, I was about to say she's definitely a bit fired out. You can always see the steam pouring out of her ears here, but sometimes it works for the best for England. She was disappointed with her first 2 overs. They went for 17, but she's only gone for just the 2 or 3 runs from this over so far.
It was a good job that throw didn't hit the stumps. Could have been expensive. 130 for 3. Round the wicket she comes now and bowls to Deepti, who swings high, but not very far. Oh, it's dropped. Oh, dropped at mid-on. Freya Kemp. I'm afraid that's a sitter.
That was, and Freya Kemp will be so disappointed in herself. Just 17 years of age, but she's got the maturity and the skills of a much older player. You often see her running long on to long on. And she's had a word from Catherine Brunt there.
She did have a word.
Had a little run. She's a quiet character, Freya Kemp. She is one of those ones where you worry after a drop like that, her head will just hang low a bit, which isn't good for England. She's probably going to be required to come bowl. She's still got 1 over left. But you can't dwell on those moments like that. As you say, yes, it was a sitter, but England can still squeeze in these final 3 overs. Jemima Rodrigues here at the crease, she still needs to fire. She's 20 off 22. She has the ability to hit those bigger shots, but she's not quite gone yet. And of course, India still has Pooja Vastrika in the bank, who I'm sure we'll be seeing in next. She's on the scorecards coming next, and she hits a long ball. So for these two now, 3 overs left. They've got to propel themselves to that 150 mark and make the most of that missed England opportunity.
I was trying to find an excuse for her there. I mean, it was in the sun a bit, I guess. It was high, running back, and it was both hands just above her head. And oh dear, Brunt and Kemp just run past each other there, sopping in the field. And I don't think Kemp looked in Brunt's direction at all. They just kept their head down and kept running. 132 for 3, Siva's on, and that's smeared away over cover. Fine shot.
That was a wonderful shot there from Jemima Rodrigues. Just said how she needs to accelerate. That ball from Siva, it was a bit wide, it was a bit short, and she used her feet nicely, gave herself room, and just freed up that offside. Nat Siva here, with the field she's got, everyone inside the ring on the offside, everyone out on the leg side. She's got to find a way to cramp up Jemima Rodrigues here.
Super shot that was. Siva again runs in again. She backs away. She's got an edge this time. And that'll go for 4. Straight over Amy Jones's shoulder, really. And it is becoming a bit of a free hit with that offside as it is. All you got to do is get it either over or through, and she's stepping away. Absolutely the right thing to do. And Rodrigues suddenly now is putting a bit of a spurt on. She's 28, 140 for 3. It's Siva going to change his field. They're not going to. So still 5 in the circle in the offside. 140 for 3 in the 18th over. And Siva, England's acting captain, bowls a long hop down the leg side, pulled away down to fine leg. And they take 1 this time. So 9 from the first 3 balls of this over. 141 for 3. And for Deepti Sharma, what are they going to do here? Well, the same sort of thing, really. Out to the leg side they go. She's left-handed, so long on, deep mid wicket, deep square leg. The simmering brunt is down here at the long off. Someone's taking her a drink, I think, try and cool her down a bit.
I think it would take a bit more.
Well, yeah, and I think probably
industrial ice cube.
It's quite a brave person as well, I think. Siver again, round the wicket, bowls a slower ball and a swipe and a miss. Jones has the bails off, but the batter's foot didn't leave the crease, so still 9 from this over with 2 balls to go. 141 for 3. It's the 18th over, so 2 overs after this. It's going to be a good score, but by the look of it, not as much as it threatened to be around about the halfway stage. Siver again moves in bowls. That's hammered away down to long off. Catherine Brunt fields on the bounce.
Yeah, good bit of work there from Catherine Brunt. It looked at the last minute just as it was going to go past her, and she always signals something there to Freya Kemp. If I was a lip reader, I would have suggested, she said, it's not that hard.
Don't go there, I think.
I'm very aware on when we don't lip read Catherine Brunt. I think after that drop catch, I think that was certainly not the one to lip read.
Siver again, over the wicket, runs in bowls. It's another full toss. Scythed away very cleverly indeed over the offside. And it rolls away over the boundary. Vital runs coming here now. Rodrigues and Deepti Shah are just pushing this score on. There's some Indian support staff running on here now with drinks by the look of it for these 2 batters. But that was a poor delivery. It was a low full toss, knee high. And we know what she's going to try and do. She's been playing it so well, hitting it through and over the offside, and that, I'm afraid, was a gift. 146 for 3, with 2 overs to go. You feel the atmosphere building, music's playing, and there are some more smiles now on that Indian bench than there were half an hour ago, because this is going up to being a threatening score, and it's never easy chasing in these pressurised games. I know England have done it pretty successfully in recent times, but this is a semi-final. There's medals at stake. There's places in that final tomorrow, and it's a big challenge. And now look of it, the bowling here. So Brunt's got 1 to go. This is the penultimate over, so Ecclestone actually is going to bowl from that far end. And then, well, there's quite a choice of who they could bring on to bowl the final one, but I suspect it'll be Catherine Brunt to bowl the last over.
Used 7 bowlers in this innings, England, which just goes to show how well India have batted.
Well, they used 6 in the first 6 overs, wasn't it, or something like that? I mean, it was remarkable, really. Ecclestone then, the penultimate over. No, it's not. It's the wrong way's bell, and that's pulled away out towards deep mid wicket. I've got the other ponytail here. It's sort of a ponytail contest, these 2, but it's Glenn bowling her leg breaks from the far end.
Interesting to see Glenn bowling at this stage. She's had a good game so far today, and you always feel that wrist spin can either bring you wickets or it can go the distance.
So 147 for 3. She's bowling a wrist spin from the far end. Down the pitch it comes, drives over cover successfully as well. Ball running away into that boundary. Runs coming thick and fast.
It feels like the children's book. We're going on a bear hunt. They're going over it and they're going through it, the Indian fielders. Everywhere there's a gap, the Indian batters, everywhere there's a gap in the field, they're finding it. If there's no gap readily available, they're just going over it, and it looks all too easy out there from England, who haven't been their normal selves in the field. Their fielding hasn't been up to par. Drop catch from Freya Kemp, and their bowling just hasn't been consistent enough across these 20 overs.
Well, I think again you've got to ask some questions here. I mean, we did with Alice Capsey bowling at second over. Glenn again bowls a leg spinner, swept away fine, and there's a dive there at the edge of the circle at fine leg by Ecclestone. I mean, she's still got an over left. That's why I assumed it was her at the far end. She's got an over left. Catherine Brunt's got an over left. I wonder why this wrist spin is bowling at the moment. 152 for 3.
It could, of course, be a match-up. Maybe they've gone Glenn with Jemima Rodrigues, Deepti Sharma. It's a good match-up, but...
Glenn again round the wicket, bowls, heaved into the leg side, down to long on. Another single, 152 for 3, 153 for 3, in fact, with 2 balls to go in this over.
And this is also more commonly used in the women's game as spin at the latter stage of the game. For the Southern Vipers, the captain, Georgia Adams, bowls the final over of most T20s with her off-spin, really slow off-spin.
Glenn again over the wicket, bowls, down the pitch, drives, and there's a desperate save there. Nice piece of fielding.
Freya Kemp there.
Yeah, that'll make her feel better. And actually that's good to see, because she did have to work hard for that. And you mentioned she's so young, so dropping a catch like that in a semi, I'm afraid, could have haunted her, but that was a really good, full-on effort. She flung the ball away quickly. Glenn again bowls a full toss, scythed away into the offside, down to long off. 1 run off that last ball. So she's bowled her 4 overs for 28. I wonder who will bowl this last over, because it just feels this is a crucial over now, between being what is already a good score. If it goes badly wrong, it could be a very, very good score indeed.
So Freya Kemp's typically bowled the final over in a few of England's group stage games. She's still got her hat on, so it doesn't look like it will be her.
It's Catherine Brunt. And look, we don't know how this over's going to go, but I just think you've got to back your best players, you know. And I'd have brought Brunt on now, I must say. I'd have had Eccleston at the other end the same. But these things happen. But whatever happens this over, we shall see. But I think this has to be the right decision, surely.
And I'm not sure whether Catherine Brunt has actually bowled from this end yet.
Yes, no.
She has a stake on the City end, and hopefully it won't throw her off too much. Got a completely packed leg side field again here, so anything through the covers could be for India.
Sharma on strike. And yes, that offside circle, 5 in it, as Brunt goes round the wicket, bowls outside the off stump, sides the way into that offside. Fielder desperately running back, can't quite get there. It's Bouchier, took a brilliant catch earlier. Back they come for 2. As the throw comes in now to Amy Jones. And it's actually quite a crucial difference between the men and the women's game, isn't it? There's just 4 out. If this were a men's game, you'd have a deep point. And so it does make it pretty awkward in these overs with just 4 fielders out.
It does. You've got to be really skillful and push the ball into the pads of the batter, but of course they're going to just be looking to give themselves room. So it's a fantastic contest as we get to those latter stages. Right now, I'm sure we'll see a shorter delivery, but actually deep third has been pushed back, and Madon's been brought inside the ring.
157 for 3. In goes Brunt then. Bowles had to be short, and it's a nasty ball too. That reared poor old Amy Jones. She fended that away, and I think the batsman might have worn one there as well. 157 for 3. 4 balls to go. Good old-fashioned Yorkshire hostility, that, and it's wrapped her on the gloves. Good ball from Catherine Brunt. Let's see if she can produce something similar. Sivers at mid-on, clapping her hands. There's Brunt, absolutely no nonsense. Turns around, goes bustling in again. 157 for 3. Round the wicket she goes. Bowls a slower full ball, spooned away into the leg side, over Amy Jones's head. And will they come back for the second? They are coming back for the second. Throws on the way and goes a wild throw. Oh dear, Catherine's lost it again.
Yeah, she's not happy here. She's being let down by her fielders a couple times. Not too sure who is down there, but she was standing on it.
She looked like the angel of the north there, with her arms outstretched, glaring, and I suspect probably saying something as well to the fielder down there. It was a bit slovenly, if I'm honest, and I can see why Brunt. She's now arguing with the umpire. I'm not sure what about, but the umpire's had a word about something, maybe running on down the pitch. But oh dear, I think you might have to give her a wide berth in the dressing room after this. She's got 3 balls to go. 159 for 3. Deepti Sharma on strike, she's left-handed, and now long off comes back, so third comes up into the circle. 159 for 3. Brunt's doing more point. No, she doesn't like that. No, she's she's bringing that one back up and sending Siver off to long on instead. 159 for 3. Brunt's on her way. 4 out on the leg side boundary. Round the wicket she goes. Batter steps away, sides. Jones is underneath it. Brunt's going for it herself and takes the catch. Didn't trust anybody else. Normally, 99 times out of 100, that is the wicket-keeper's catch. She's got the gloves on, but such has been Brunt's day, she was having none of it, and she almost pushed her out the way and took the catch herself. 159 for 4.
Yeah, usually the keepers go for those ones. They're the people with the gloves, but as you mentioned, Catherine Brunt is not trusting any of her fielders at this moment. She's the only one who thinks she can take it, and she didn't celebrate that wicket at all. She's pretty fuming out there, and as you said, she's had a word with the umpire. She was running on the pitch. There was a few bit of lazy fielding from Sarah Glenn down at deep fine leg, and it's a culmination of everything that's happened across these 20 overs for England. They didn't have a great power play. India's been the top team throughout these 20 overs, and it's all that pent-up frustration, I think, which does manifest itself a bit more freely when it's Catherine Brunt with ball in hand.
Well, there were some words there with Nat Siver as well. I don't think it was a domestic. I think it's talking about the field, but dear old Catherine, she really is steaming at the moment. 159 for 4. There's 2 balls to go. Fastrakar is in now. But it's
she can hit a long
she is.
ball.
She is on strike. So I thought they might have crossed there, isn't it?
No, it's Jemima Rodriguez on
She's on
strike. So they did
yeah.
cross.
That's it. So there's 4 in the circle on the offside. 2 balls to go. 159 for 4. Brunt runs in angrily and bowls short. It's flogged away into the leg side. They'll want to if they can, but they won't get it surely. It's picked up. Oh, they're coming back for the second. This must be a run out. Catherine Brunt, well, she's ripped her stump out of the ground. I think they might have made that.
Yeah, Pooja Rajashkar running really quickly in the end. She was always coming back for 2. I think it was actually Jemima Rodriguez was the apprehensive one. She wanted to get Rodriguez back on strike. She's 39 of 29 and we're going upstairs.
Yeah, I think I had to, but it didn't strike me as being out, but we'll see. She's stretching for her ground. Oh, I think she might just be out here. There's no celebration with England at all. Has Catherine Brunt got the ball in her hand? Is it the ball that strikes the stumps? That's the question. We can't really see it from this angle. She's out of her ground, but we can't tell from that angle whether that is a clean run out or not. England aren't celebrating at all, which is really rather weird.
We've learnt from this competition as well. The TV umpires like to have a good look at these dismissals.
Yeah, but the wrong angle. This angle is no good. This is not telling us. All it's telling us is that the batter is out of her ground. But let's see if this is.
They've gone from.
Is it the ball? Is it the ball that's broken the stumps, or is it her hand? I mean, if it's it's out, and that's really strange because here we are in a semi-final, and it was Danny Wyatt's throw, and only now Boucher is going to say well done. Now. That is really very strange.
Sometimes you get in these crunch moments at the end of a T20. Fielders just want to get back into their place, get this final delivery gone, and this has been a long over. Catherine Brunt has been changing her field every delivery. There's been arguments, there's been tantrums, and eventually we get the decision. There's 1 ball left to go.
Just from an English perspective, that body language out there is not great. Got to be honest. 160 for 5. They've got to lift themselves to chase this. But a run out like that was a great piece of work from Brunt as well to effect the run out. But nobody has gone up and done anything. Now they're setting the field for the last ball. Rodriguez is on strike.
So most likely a slower ball to finish here from Catherine Brunt as she pushes back that long arm, brings up deep third into the ring.
Well, she's dispatching people all over the place now, including Sivo, who's now heading off to deep extra cover. Kemp's now within shouting range of Brunt at mid-off. It's 160 for 5. It's been massively entertaining, I must say. Here's the last ball of the innings. It's 160 for 5. Rodriguez is on strike on 40. And in goes Brunt. She's there now. She bowls outside the off stump. Sides into the offside. It's gone over the fielder and into the boundary it goes. Brunt's got her hands on her hips. Well, I think there's sort of an exclusion zone around Brunt in the dressing room. I don't think any will be going too close there. 164 for 5. England need 165 to win this game and to go through to the final for the gold and silver medal playoffs tomorrow. That is not going to be easy. And looking at that body language out there at the end, well, I don't know. They're walking off now with some high fives, but that was all a bit strange. Ground staff coming on. Let's run through the card because you're going to handle the interval, I think, Melissa, aren't you? Mandana 61, Verma 15. A great start for India, that was. 76 for no wicket in the 8th over. Kaur 20, picked up her game after a quiet start. Deep to Sharma, a very good 22 from 20 balls. For Strakar was run out, as we saw then that last over. With Rodriguez 44 not out from just 31 balls. Again, she lifted the tempo as she went. Bowling-wise, Catherine Brunt bowled her 4 overs, 1 for 30. Capsey, that rather strange first over, well, actually the second of the innings, only bowled 1 for 11. Issy Wong, 2 overs for 19. Nat Siver, 1 for 26 from 3. Sophie Eccleston, 3 overs, no wicket for 27. Sarah Glenn bowled her 4 for 28. And Freya can pick up 2 wickets. They're important wickets too, but she did drop that catch. 2 for 22 from 3 overs. So 165 for England to win. Melissa, some thoughts from you on that first of all, and then you're going to handle the interval of 10 minutes.
Well, the body language of England does say it all here. They've not had many tough group stage games, and coming into this game, they were lots of confidence, top of their group, but actually India have brought the attack to them. And I mean, you must be quietly delighted, Snehal, with that innings. 164 on the board. Could we have seen that coming from India?
If you've been looking at the back of the box, I was slightly loudly delighted. But it has been a really good performance from India. It has been a performance that, at the start of the innings, if you had offered them 164, they would have taken it. But I get the feeling that India were just maybe 10 runs short, considering that they were 73 after 7 overs. That's the kind of start, that's the kind of finish they would have expected. But nonetheless, India are the happier side at the halfway mark. For sure, India will believe that they have the bowling to back to defend this, and at the same time England will think this is a really good pitch to bat on. Fast outfield, not a lot of turn in this pitch, we can do this. So it is game on here in the Commonwealth Games semi-finals of cricket. Both teams are still in this.
So in their previous head-to-heads, England have won 17 of the 22 games, but India have won 2 of the last 5, which really goes to tell the story of India's recent improvement. However, England's won chasing 12 times. So for you, who are the players in the India team, the bowlers, who are going to be key to India defending this total, and who's going to be the English batters who are key to chasing this down?
I think what we're really going to look at from the Indian bowling point of view is Pooja Vasakar. What's going to be critical, I think, in this game is going to be those last 5 overs, and who can nail those Yorkers, who can keep the boundaries down in those last 5 overs, because England have to go at a good run rate for the entire duration of their innings. It's very likely that they'll have to score at around 9 and over for those last 5. Can India keep it down to no more than 1 boundary in over? Pooja Vasakar is going to be someone who we watch. Renuka Singh, who has been very impressive with the new ball, her role is going to be critical. Don't discount Meghna Singh, who at the other end has been bowling some really good outswing as well. The spin department, India don't have a leg spinner. India for the first time have really gone into a tournament without a leg spin option since Poonam Yadav's debut. She's not even in the squad, so they don't have that super slow option of taking pace off the ball, which incidentally might have been very useful here. For England, I think Nat Siver has been in incredible form. Sophia Dunkley, we haven't seen the best of her in the Commonwealth Games, but she's one to watch out for in that new role. And they're going to rely a little bit on the depth that they have. The fact that England really bat to number 10, 11, that's what's going to put them in a good position in this semi-final. They're not out of it.
Absolutely, but looking at India's progress as a team across these last few years, they're the only team in this Commonwealth Games to strike at 8 runs per over in the power play. They've got the highest power play in the competition. We mentioned Smriti Mandhana's now occupies the top 3 places in fastest T20 50s for India. And there was a lot of talk at the 50 over World Cup and previous global tournaments that India are a bit of a traditional side. They bat too slow, and that was owing largely to the captaincy of Mithali Raj. Now, have you noticed improvement since her decision to step down as captain, or do you consider it to be always brewing and it's just coincidental that it's appeared at the same time as her retirement?
It's something that has come along, because you have to remember that when Mithali Raj retired from the T20 format back in 2019, if I remember correctly, Shefali Verma got an opportunity in the Indian team. So as soon as new players have come in, they have brought a different brand of cricket, a slightly more aggressive brand of cricket. They have shown that even in the domestic tournaments, they've shown that they can bat at a run rate which is probably something which is above normal for domestic, and they've carried that over into internationals. You have the likes of Jemima Rodriguez, who's come in and today showed the ability to accelerate despite not being a power player. She's no Shefali Verma, she's no Pooja Vasakar, but she ended up with a strike rate of almost 142. So the smarts has come in. These younger players have come in and played more aggressively. The likes of Mandhana have always had and recognized that the rest of the world is pulling forward with an aggressive and attacking brand of cricket, and we have to kind of keep up with that. Now India just have more players with that bend of mind, and those players are, like I was talking to Jeff, taking a little more ownership and trying to really set the standards for what they want Indian cricket to be known for, and it's a very different looking Indian side therefore.
Now, we were absolutely blown away by how many regional domestic teams there are in India. So please remind me how many there is. 36. Now, with performances like this from India, of course, it's only the first innings gone, but they've been fantastic across this competition and put up a good fight against Australia in that opening game. And with that many domestic regional teams to select from, I know we're banging on about it because we're down on two knees begging, but is this, and it may be this, with India making the finals, with India picking up a medal, be the impetus needed to force a women's IPL?
I think that impetus is already there. I mean, you can't always put it back on the players that if you perform, then we'll get on the IPL. They have performed, they have done their job. India have reached the semi-finals of every ICC tournament except the last Cricket World Cup in New Zealand. So they've been the consistent top four side. They've been a side which have been in a couple of finals since then. Many times we've seen India were, of course, a part of that record where 86,174 people filled the MCG. So India have really contributed, the team has contributed to the growth of the women's game. Now it is really in the hands of the administrators to take the next step, because this Indian team is doing everything right. They're ticking all the boxes, showing off, like we say, a brand of cricket, showing off the depth that Indian cricket has. Renuka Singh coming into this tournament, picking up a couple of 4-4s, relatively unknown quality. The likes of Meghna Singh and Renuka shoring up India's bowling even after the retirement of Jhulan Goswami. Not really retirement, she hasn't retired yet, she's just not been picked. But the
She's
batting
too busy
as
having
well.
Bollywood films made about her.
The batting as well, the fact that we are talking about this aggressive intent. This Indian team is doing everything they need to do. It is now really up to the administrators to take the next step, because there's money on the table, if you ask me. There is money to be made in women's cricket. This Indian team has shown that they are a product which can bring in revenue, not just crowds, and that is something that they've already proven. It's just now a matter of encashing really on the potential and their performance.
And speaking of crowds, looking at the crowd around you, as an players, we've had Alex Hartley, we've had Snehal Pradhan around us in the commentary boxes now. How do crowds like this make you feel? How would it be like if you were the one out there bowling? Would you be able to handle the crowd? Or it must be heartwarming to see.
It was great. I mean, I remember the 2017 Women's World Cup final at Lord's, and I walked into that press box, and having seen the ground already full, I met Claire Connor there, and I had a little bit of I was holding back a few tears when I said to her, I can't believe this is a women's cricket match. And that's become the norm, really. It isn't really the exception anymore. We had excellent crowds in the World Cup in New Zealand, especially in the final, especially for all the India games. We've had fantastic crowds here for all the games where England are involved. The India-Pakistan game was packed as well. So, and the players as well are feeding off that energy. Renuka Singh was saying after her last performance where she took 4 against Barbados that just having the crowd back her, having the crowd get behind her is just a fantastic feeling. And it's a fantastic feeling for all the players, the 13 players who just walked down to the ground as well right now.
But it's interesting you mentioned Claire Connor, because she's admitted that she was tearful when she saw the England team take part in the Commonwealth Games opening ceremony, and there's been lots of word from fans and people who are new to cricket saying how amazing it is to see the women's game put on a platform like this. Thank you so much, Snehal. I'll be leaving you in the safe and capable hands of Jeff Lennon.
Thank you, Melissa. And we are about to get the chase underway. England need 165 to win. That means 8 1/4 runs per over. And we haven't seen many teams in the Commonwealth Games do particularly well when they've needed about 8 and over. So that's the challenge in front of England. They do have a powerful batting lineup. They have an attacking mentality. And they have a couple of attacking opening bats in Danny Wyatt and Sophia Dunkley. Part of the renovations in the England women's team. Tammy Beaumont was at the top of the order for many years, but they've decided she's more suited to 50 over cricket than 20 in terms of batting strike rate, so Dunkley up the top to attack early, but doesn't always handle spin so well. Now Renuka Singh Thakur has the ball in hand, right arm quick, and she has been absolutely harvesting wickets. Took 4 for 18 against Australia, 4 for 10 against Barbados. Those were the 5th best figures of all time for India in T20s, T20 women's internationals. So she took another wicket in the intervening match from memory, so 11 in the tournament so far across 3 group games. And she'll look to add to that in this semi-final. She's bowling from the pavilion end in bright sunshine, running up to Sophia Dunkley, and it's a low full toss, driven down the ground for 4. That's a good way to start for England. The bowler not hitting her length, and Dunkley able to stay still enough and compact enough to just play a simple shot instead of trying to overhit that, as often happens with the full toss.
What a start we've had to this semi-final. The first innings, the second innings. England, like I keep saying, are not out of it. They have the batting depth, they have the attacking intent. Really, they have no choice but to get into the game straight away, and what we're seeing is a big no ball as well from Renuka Singh. So she has obviously missed her run up and therefore didn't have the right rhythm leading into the ball. Full toss, as a result 4 runs and now a free hit.
Well, so 5 on the board already, and technically yet to have a delivery bowled. Well, you might think she'd like to have her time again. In a way she does. It's just that the target has changed. She bowls now and pitches this one. Pulled over mid-wicket for 4. Was a wide long on in the end. Dunkley so quickly onto that. Hit it so hard, so far in front of square. And after one legal delivery, England have 9 on the board. Well, there's their 8 and over, and now they've got 5 more balls in which to top it up.
Exactly the kind of start England would have wanted, and now we really see what Renuka Singh is made of. We've seen in the last couple of innings, she's picked up that first wicket quickly and ridden that momentum. Now we see how she comes back under pressure.
Renuka Singh bowls a good length this time, and driving down to mid-off is Dunkley. Can't beat the field this time. A little bit more like it from Renuka Singh Thakur, who's been so impressive with the ball. She's been able to get swing. She's hit a hard length. She's hit the stumps repeatedly. Needs to remember her best days rather than her worst couple of deliveries. Up to Dunkley, bowling down the leg side, and it's a wide. And the horror over continues. Another extra 10 without loss. England.
But what we just saw there is Tanya Bhatia standing up to the stumps, and despite that ball being well down leg side, she was able to get around and make sure that there's no more damage besides that 1 run. This is really what India have really banked on, her superior keeping skills, trying to earn them wickets, save them runs.
Renuka Singh gets charged, driven down to wide long on, through for a single. Fielder cuts it off on that occasion. So England up to 11.
Brave from Dunkley. Despite Tanya Bhatia being up to the stumps, despite the opportunity of being stumped, she has been happy to charge down the pitch and therefore cut the swing. So that's the strategy that England seem to take, and Danny Wyatt likes to do that as well. Charge at the bowler and hit over the infield. Going to be interesting to see if these two continue that.
Tends to go very offside, Danny Wyatt, as much as she can. So they've got a deep square leg and a deep cover for her. She prepares to face her first delivery. Renuka Singh bowls at the stumps and Wyatt defends. Short mid-wicket, picks up and fields. So Pooja Vastraka out at deep square leg, the one they're trusting to do the mobile work on the boundary line. Didn't get to do much with the bat. Felt like a bit of a waste that she came in, was a runner for a couple of shots and ended up sacrificing her wicket, searching for an extra run. Didn't get to play any shots. Renuka Singh cutting back in from outside the off stump and edged away past slip for 4. That was a good delivery, and she still gets punished for it. Came in, threatened the stumps, then took the edge. The luck going for England in this first over. 15 runs with 1 ball to come.
That is a huge amount of sea movement that she's got, along with the shape that she gets curving in. But Danny Wyatt, just her hand-eye coordination good enough to get the face down exactly in the right place, knew the third was up and was able to get a 4 there.
Renuka Singh bowls to Wyatt, who's defending from the crease. And there will be no run. So, a damaging first over for India. A wonderful start for England. 15 runs from the first over. They now need 150, England, from 114. They've brought the required run rate down under 8 and over. So that's a win for them first up.
That's exactly what England would have wanted. India really relied on the cushion that they had from Smriti Mandhana's blitzkrieg, where she scored 73 runs where she helped India score 73 runs in those first 7 overs. And after she was dismissed, you're talking about Pooja Vassakar feeling a bit wasted. Deepti Sharma batting at a strike rate of 110, 22 off 20. Jemima Rodriguez picked up the pace nicely, but have to think with someone of Pooja Vassakar's hitting ability, India have, like I said at the interval, left maybe 10 runs out there.
Yeah, it did feel like they wasted that start that Mandhana gave them. Didn't fully take advantage of it. Could have used that to push up to a 170, 180 kind of score. Something that would be more testing. But as soon as a wicket falls in this innings, things will start to get more difficult. So a lot riding on this opening pair, working out how the field is going to work. So there are 2 fielders at point, very close together for Dunkley. A point and a backward point, but only a few paces apart. There's also a slip and a deep third. There's a deep cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket. And nobody else on the leg side. And Dunkley drives straight back past the stumps, runs here. Big chase for Harmanpreet Kaur, and she can't quite get there, the skipper. The ball beats her into the rope. Another boundary for Sophia Dunkley, who's cruising along at the moment. She's on 13 from 5 deliveries faced.
Twice now in this innings, an Indian fast bowler has started with a low full toss, and Sophia Dunkley has obliged with a lovely straight drive. For someone who operates with that split grip, it's really surprising and refreshingly so to see Sophia Dunkley, how adept she is at playing straight. Easy, switches very easily between a tight top hand and a tight bottom hand as is required.
So I've never seen a seam bowler operate with no fine leg, no deep backward square, no square leg, nobody behind square on the leg side. And Dunkley goes leg side. A little drop kick over mid-wicket. And it rolls into the boundary cushion. So 2 fielders on the leg side, mid-on and mid-wicket. And she still chooses to go over the top of one and does so expertly. 23 without loss, England.
This is something we've seen Meghna Singh do a lot in domestic cricket, because she is that traditional outswing bowler. So she will bowl with a 7-2 field, have no fine leg, but she needs to pitch that ball. Firstly, she needs to pitch that ball. Secondly, she needs to pitch it somewhere outside off stump. Right now, she is bowling full tosses, so she hasn't found her rhythm, hasn't found her length.
The bowlers who've bowled full tosses have been punished in this tournament. She bowls full and it hits the keeper. Bhatia takes that in the helmet. I think we'll need to have a concussion check here. She's walking away, so she's still on her feet, but she's got her glove to her face, and she's taken that blow, I think, up near the ear guard. She shakes her head. The umpire's coming in to speak to her, and they are calling the physio onto the field. So it's Kim Cotton out there, I think.
Yeah, Kim Cotton has signalled for Neha Karnik, the Indian physio, to come onto the field, and it really takes me back to that T20 World Cup final where Tanya Bhatia was concussion substituted out of the game because while keeping she took a blow, and therefore Richa Ghosh, who was 16 at the time and really didn't expect to get a game, came in, and it almost signalled the beginning of the end of Tanya Bhatia's career in the shorter format, because Richa Ghosh then really showed that she has the ability to she has that power game which Tanya Bhatia lacks, and was given the wicket-keeping responsibilities. Not a part of the squad this time, Richa Ghosh, despite not...
Why was that?
Because she hasn't really put up enough runs on the board, and there are some concerns about her fitness as well.
Well, we're clear to continue, and coming into bowl is Meghna Singh, being defended away into the covers. So I think they figured out that ball came off the gloves and then clipped the grill after that, and so it wasn't as hard a blow to the head as it initially looked. So Tanya Bhatia has been cleared to carry on. England 24 without loss. We're only in the second over.
What I like though is that there is still a slip and a gully.
Meghna Singh gets her length right. The line's pretty straight, and just coming forward in defence is Danny Wyatt. Happy to just cover up. So yes, they've gone away from the 2 points they had for Dunkley. Gone for a slip and a gully instead. The slip is probably about a second. So slip, gully, deep backward point more than a deep third, and a regulation point. Stacked offside field. A deep cover, extra cover, and mid-off. Meghna Singh bowls and Wyatt's defending. Few sighs from the crowd as the ball sneaks past the edge into the gloves of the keeper. 24 without loss after 2 overs. So even though that was a quiet over the last few deliveries, the first couple of balls went to the boundary. So England up and running. 9 from the over. 24 for none.
And now a change in pace from India. Deepti Sharma has come on from the pavilion end and is going to be operating her off spin against Sophia Dunkley. And we were talking about how Dunkley isn't the most fluent against spin. This is a challenge for her. Change in pace. I have a feeling that Meghna Singh will continue from the other end. Those last 4 balls where she found her line and length quite encouraging.
So the 2 boundary riders are on the leg side for Deepti Sharma. There's a deep mid-wicket and a deep square leg. Aside from that, 2 other fielders in the ring on the leg side. One at backward square leg, one at mid-on. And 5 in the ring on the offside, mid-off, extra cover, point, backward point. And now they're changing that around, so they're pushing long on back and bringing the deep square leg up. For Deepti to bowl to these 2 right-handers. Both aggressive players will look to attack. And Deepti Sharma from the pavilion end, a lot of loop. It's a low full toss and it's driven down the ground. Every Indian bowler, it seems, has started with one of those. But in this case, the fielder they dropped back to long on saves the boundary. So Deepti at least avoids the fate of being hit down the ground for 4 first ball. 25 for none.
And change in field now for Danny Wyatt. Very strong in that cover region, so I'm sure that cover fielder is going to drop back. Yes, cover is one of the fielders that's dropped back. Long on has come up inside the circle to mid on. Deep mid wicket still in place. Square leg and a short fine leg inside the circle on the leg side. A short third on the offside. So the sweep is there for the taking. The Indians are saying that if you want those runs, play cross-batted shots.
Deepti bowls, drops short, and it's cut out to that deep cover sweeper, so they won't get more than 1 run. Danny Wyatt missing out there. That ball was a drag down, and she could have lined that up and popped it just about anywhere she wanted. Finds the field at 26 for none.
Look like Harleen Deol there at the deep extra cover position, substitute fielder, 12th. So who's off the field for India? We know that Jemima Rodriguez was struggling with a little bit of a finger injury.
Deepti bowls short again, pulled out to deep mid-wicket. Not as short. Vastraka out there doing the fielding. 1 run, 27 for none. So she's at least bowled to her sweepers so far. So who...
Yeah, it does
Who
look
is
like
off the
Jemima
field?
Rodriguez. I can't see her on the field,
Yeah.
which is a bit of a miss for India. But she is electric, but Harleen is very good in the field as well.
Flight, Deepti finds her length, cut out to the deep cover sweeper, even though it was a slightly fuller length. Only 1 run results, 28 with no loss.
Harleen Deol, everyone will remember that fantastic catch taken on the boundary on India's tour to England last summer, where she jumped in the air, caught the ball, realized that she was about to fall across the boundary, tossed it up again, went over, came back in and completed the catch with a dive.
It was a magical bit of fielding, that one. Deepti bowls, hits the pad, appeal, and the fingers up. Spin works. She's rammed the ball into the pad of Sophia Dunkley, and that weakness against spin comes to the fore once again. Dunkley's asking about the review. Danny Wyatt says, no luck, champ. Off you go. 28 for 1. Dunkley hit in front, got a decent stride in. That was the only thing I thought might have helped. But most likely that ball was going on to crash into the stumps.
I'm very curious to see the replay. It is an off spinner. It has hit her very straight. It's turned just a little, but India persisting with that deep square leg fielder inside the circle, leaving that area open, asking the England batters to play across the line, and that strategy has worked. It's found them their first wicket after a big couple of overs. India are on the board. Sophia Dunkley provides the impetus, 19 of 10, but then has to go.
And as we talked about off the top of the broadcast, the flexibility of this England batting lineup, Alice Capsey is sent up the order. Every match she's been listed on the card at 6, but if they lose a wicket in the power play, which they have done in all of those matches, she's come in at number 3, and her job is to come out and keep the momentum going, be an attacking player, and then allow Nat Siver to come in after. The idea is after Capsey has got out swinging, but on occasion, Capsey's played some longer hands, made 44 in the first match, running down some runs against Sri Lanka, made a 50 after that. So she's been in great nick, the teenager. She's waiting for Deepti Sharma, coming forward and driving hard. The bowler fields well off her own work, jumping away to her left. Seems to have injured her hand a bit as well. I hope that's just stinging and not something worse.
Looks like she's holding her thumb, her right thumb, which would be pretty important for her to be able to bowl off spin. But Alice Capsey, you were saying, in good nick, her last 4 innings, 25, 44, 50, 23. So she's gotten starts everywhere. We are looking at a replay of the Sophia Dunkley LBW, and that one was hitting just below the top of leg stump. So a good decision on field by the umpire. I believe it was Kim Cotton who gave that out from the pavilion end. Eloise Sheridan, the other umpire, now standing as Meghna Singh, top of her mark from the Birmingham City end. So still a very wide slip, Deepti Sharma, and a gully. Still 7-2.
28 for 1. Meghna Singh getting an outside edge from Danny Wyatt, a thick one. It rolls towards point. So we're just starting the 4th over. England up and running.
And this is what I was saying when I mentioned earlier that Harmanpreet Kaur is the kind of captain who backs her fast bowlers. Despite Meghna Singh going for 2 boundaries of her first 2 balls that she played, she still got no fine leg. She's still bowling a very tight offside line and two catchers in operation.
Meghna Singh bowls to Wyatt, who slashes away. That's a classic Danny Wyatt shot for 4. He rolls all the way out to point. Saw that bit of width, throws the bat at it, and despite having 2 fielders in the deep on the offside, it goes in between them, in between the backward point and the cover for 4, 32 for 1.
And it's very interesting where those 2 deep fielders are. You mentioned one is almost backward of point, so a deep backward point, who's now come to a more traditional, she's gone back to that deep backward point. And the other fielder is almost in line with the short cover fielder, so it's a very wide, deep extra cover. So India know that Danny Wyatt likes to step out and hit towards that cover fielder, and they've put it where the gap is usually.
Meghna Singh bowls to Wyatt, who plays the same shot. It's going the same way, but deep cover this time is able to get across and cut it off, and some excellent running from the England pair sees them get back for 2, where most teams would only have tried to take 1. 34 for 1, and suddenly Wyatt is taking the ascendancy. Sophia Dunkley was doing it early. She's just been dismissed. Leg before wicket. Now Wyatt 12 off 11 balls, and she's got that required rate back down under 8 and over. It was up above 8 after the wicket fell. She's waiting for Meghna Singh, who's bowling outside off stump. Wyatt tries to glide a single down to deep third, but can't beat the field. No run there.
And now that gully fielder has dropped back into a short third position, still can't have a regular third. We are in the power play, so that deep backward point, deep wide extra cover, almost in line with the infielder, who is quite close to the bat. She's about 10 yards off the inner circle.
Meghna Singh bowls 2 straight to Wyatt, punted over the leg side for 4. 1 bounce out at deep mid-wicket and nobody out there at all, only the 2 fielders on the leg side. That's a mid-on and a mid-wicket inside the circle, so risk-free if the bowler strays 2 straight with that field, and that's what she did. A bit of an in-swinger in the end, coming in towards middle and off. Danny Wyatt just cleans it out.
perfect coming together of conditions really for that shot. Wide stepping across to the offside, clearly intending to access that leg side, and Meghna Singh sliding one on to the stumps. Not as disciplined as she had been with the previous few deliveries. So again, 2 boundaries of this Meghna Singh over. So England clattering along, rattling along, keeping up with the run rate. Keeping ahead of the run rate, in fact.
38 for 1, England. We're only in the 4th over. So we saw India score 40 off the first 4. And now England are just about going at the same rate. Meghna Singh bowls to Wyatt, who glances it fine. And that'll run away for 4 more. So they will beat India's score at the 4th over mark. India were none for 40 at that stage. England, 42 for 1. They have lost a wicket, but they're up with the run rate. The required rate is down to 7.7. They started off needing more than 8. And Meghna Singh just can't get her line, despite the field she's got set up. She's bowled leg side a couple of times and been punished.
Yeah, poor delivery that one, but excellent cricket from England. And this is what I was really looking forward to seeing, the full potential really of this England batting lineup, considering that they have batting depth, they have batting power, right all the way down to number 10. I would even say number 11. Sarah Glenn considers herself an all-rounder.
She can bat, certainly. Start of a new over. Deepti Sharma bowling way across her stumps comes Alice Capsey and sweeps it fine for 4. Well, that is a good shot, and it was a brave shot because that ball was straightening towards her middle stump. Had she missed it, she would have been plumb like Dunkley or bowled. And she gets it out of the middle of the bat, up near the splice, and it rolls away on that fine angle. They're 46 for 1 at the start of the 5th over.
Both teams flying. Is this a pitch or a runway?
Yes. Well, there's plenty on for this crowd. Got a big attendance here. All the top tiers of the stand look just about full at our broadcast end. The Holly stand looks full. Deepti Sharma bowls short, cut away by Capsey for a single, and there's a misfield, which means that it's an easy single rather than a rushed one. At backward point, 47 for 1.
Almost 2, in fact. India look nervous at last boundary. Harmanpreet Kaur was on the long on fence. So Smriti Mandhana taking charge a little bit of field positionings, speaking to the bowler. Harmanpreet Kaur is now in at mid-on. Deep mid-wicket still, deep cover in operation.
Deepti Sharma bowls short and wide to Wyatt, who dabs a ball out towards point and again just runs through for the single. Happy to collect those easy runs. 48 for 1.
And it's an interesting position that this Indian team finds themselves in. They've got 165 on the board, 164, but they still feel like the team under pressure. They still feel like the team who are kind of losing this game.
They are under pressure at the moment. Deepti Sharma very wide, bottom edge, as Capsey swipes at that ball. It rolls away very slowly, and so short third is able to go back and field it. Just the 1 run. It would have been a wide if she'd left that alone. She made contact outside the blue markings. 49 for 1.
But it's those games sometimes where you are expected to win and then suddenly are in a losing position that are harder to pull through.
Deepti bowls very wide again, and this time it is left alone, and the umpire says that's okay. Well, I thought that went past outside the tram tracks, but the woman on the spot says legitimate delivery. They've got a deep cover out. It's Deepti. Bowls in the same spot, cut away, straight to point. There Renuka Singh is doing the fielding. So, no run from the last ball of the over. England, though, 49 for 1 after 5 overs. They're on track at the moment. Required rate is 7.7. They need 116 more to win from 90 balls. Snail Pradhan is watching on, and Jonathan Agnew is about to join her.
Yeah, England have an opportunity here to really show off the depth that they have been building over the last few years by investing in domestic cricket. The 100 has just begun recently. Soon after this tournament, the women's edition of the 100 will join in, and it's that tournament, along with the preceding Super League, that has really produced the players of the quality of the likes of Capsey, Boucher, who have come into this England squad, boosted that depth and allowed them to bat fearlessly, aggressively. Sophia Dunkley amongst that number.
So 51 for no wicket India were at this same stage, 49 for 1 England. They're going nicely at the moment as Capsey forces the first ball of the 6th over off the back foot and picks up a single out into the offside. Renuka Singh coming on from the city end. There's the 50 up. Good start. It didn't feel quite as explosive as India's, but then I guess India's is really like a one-man show, but you know what I mean. It was really Mandana really, and Verma the other end was much more patient. But this is what's the Danny Wyatt show at the moment. She's 21, Caps is 7, 50 for 1. That's why it looks around. In this last over of the power play, they've got 3 in the circle behind square in the offside, which is interesting. Here's the next one then, and she gets a slower ball pushing into the offside. Nice big gap there because of that rather curious field placing. The throw whistles in but misses the stumps at the far end. Danny Wyatt's in her ground. 51 for 1. Target 165 for England to progress to the final tomorrow. Also gold and silver medal at stake.
I do not like this field.
It's odd, isn't it?
Yeah, we had no short fine leg for an in-swinger. Short fine leg has come back now.
Yes. Here she comes again then, bowls. Now it's driven into the offside by Capsey. There's a single to the fielder at the deep. 52 for 1. Crowd captivated, really. Thoroughly enjoyed this. It's been a very uplifting match to watch. I must be honest. It's been excellent. Outstanding batting at the start of India's innings, and they fell away a bit and slowed down, and England got back into it, but then boundaries at the end. Renuka again runs in, bowls. Oh, a full toss. Thanks very much, says Danny Wyatt. I'll have some of that. She didn't quite get hold of it. Only picks up 2. I think it was a high full toss. I'm just looking at the square leg umpire there to see what she's saying. No, I think she's saying it's okay. It was below waist high, but wouldn't have been far off. I think Danny Wyatt was hoping there for a no ball call. Look at the replay of that. Where does she hit that from? Let's have a look. Ooh, it's pretty nip and tuck, isn't it? That's very close to waist high, I'd have thought. 54 for 1, 2 balls to go in the 6th. And Danny Wyatt was lingering there because that replay was shown on the screen. I think she's hoping that the square leg upper might change her mind. Renuka again runs in, bowls a medium pace, and it's chopped away. That's a lovely shot. She's threaded that between those 3 fielders on the edge of the circle. A little bit short, a little bit wide, so the shot was on, but she's absolutely found the gap there. Infuriating for India because they have set this rather strange field. It was the width, really. The length wasn't too bad. It was a good length, really, but it's chopped away by Wyatt. And somehow getting it precisely in that gap. 58 for 1.
Yeah, not a terrible delivery, but still England finding runs off it. That's been really the bonus for them.
Renuka again bowls outside the off stump. Oh, that's hit the wicket keeper. It was a slower ball. She's up at the stumps. I think she's all right. Just hobbling off a bit. Bhatia. It's the end of the 6th over. So the end of the power play. 58 for 1. And lots of entertaining batting we've seen so far today. Just feels it's brewing up to being a really tight finish, this one, actually.
Still could see that. We saw with the Indian innings how a couple of wickets really changed the momentum of the game, and feel the same here. But who is going to find those wickets for India? Remember, someone who might have been very useful in a situation like this, Poonam Yadav, very slow with her leg spin, not a part of the squad, hasn't had the kind of returns over the last year or so that she has had in the 3 or 4 years before that. So Sneh Rana coming in at the end of the power play now with the field restrictions off. Harmanpreet Kaur able to spread the field and give her spinners some support.
India was 64 for no wicket at this stage, so it's nip and tuck, really. 58 for 1 England. 6 overs gone. And it's going to be Sneh Rana coming on to bowl her off-spin from the pavilion end. Captain's done her bit. She's retreating to long on now. 3 on the leg side boundary. And she goes. And there's a reverse sweep coming up here. And is this enough bat on it to send the ball away down to that boundary? Hotly pursued by the field, who dives full length, takes the ball with her. And it's 4 to Capsey, who got in that reverse sweep position very early. And just got enough bat, bottom edge of the bat really on that, to send the ball past the keeper. Down into the boundary. So 4 more to England, 62 for 1. Target's 165.
This is exactly why Alice Capsey has been included in this squad, isn't it? To bat bravely, to bat fearlessly, but not carelessly.
Now the next one is down the pitch and is going to be caught. Is she at point? No, it doesn't quite carry. In the air there, a scything shot. Oh no, it's not a run out, surely. What's she doing? We're going to wait and see if she's out or not, but for some utterly inexplicable reason, Capsey set off there for an impossible second run. I don't think Danny Wyatt knew what was going on. I mean, what was that about? She can't have seen the ball. She can't have known where the ball was. And I'm looking. She's going to be out here. Oh, hang on a minute. The bowler took a long time to take this, actually take the ball to the stumps.
Yeah, thank you there. There's nothing grounded behind.
Let's see that. The bat's raised, isn't it? The bat's off the ground.
It's behind the line, but there is no part of the bat grounded because the spine of the bat is just sliding along the ground, which means the toe of the bat is in the air.
And Capsey is astonished. But I'm sorry, if you look at the replay, you're out. And that was a crazy piece of batting. What on earth was happening there? She set off for an impossible second run. Danny Wyatt's objecting to the umpire. Well, there's no point in this. It's out. We can see it clearly on the screen here. Caps is walking off like someone who's been sawn off, but you haven't. And that was a mad piece of batting. Thrown a wicket away there. Run out for 13.
There was never two there whatsoever. The ball ballooned up to point, spun towards that short third fielder who got the throw into the keeper. And by the time the ball was in the keeper's gloves, Capsey was looking for a second run. And
I don't know what she was thinking. I mean, how can you take 2 runs to backward point? How can you take 2? And the throw, if there's time for it to come down the non-striker's end, that was just hitting the self-destruct button.
And India have been gifted a wicket here. Against the run of play, England were absolutely in cruise control mode, getting runs with minimum risk, and they have handed one on a platter.
Well, I'm looking at the replay now. It's skied to point. I just don't know. What was she looking at? I mean, I was looking there to see if she was actually looking at the ball, and she was looking at the ball as it came into the wicketkeeper's gloves, and she still set off for the second. It's like she had some sort of mental block. And there's no disputing the replay there. The bat, although over the line, is raised. It's on the scoop, on the shape of the bat, and it's up. And that's that. Well,
we are seeing everything today.
We've seen quite a lot, and that was extraordinary. I've not ever seen that before. Run out going for the second to point when the wicketkeeper's holding the ball in her gloves.
And then a replay where the bat's behind the line, but not behind
Not
it.
down, yeah. Well, that was all very odd. 63 for 2, and Danny Wyatt's got to continue in her way here. She gets a single out to point. Nat Sivers, the new batter. And it's 64 for 2. I mean, things happen. We talked about the pressure of semi-finals and what goes on, and that is sort of like as Geoffrey Boycott would say, a scrambled brain. That was just an extraordinary thing, and you can tell that our colleagues on the telly are saying the same thing because we keep watching replay after replay where she set off and the wicketkeeper had the ball in her gloves. 64 for 2. This is pushed into the offside. Civil wants a single, sent back by Danny Wyatt. Well, he gets a bit nervy and a bit twitchy when he just had a run out as well. That was probably the right decision, but they might have made that single. 64 for 2. The target 165. In goes Rana and bowls, and Sivers down the pitch, driving it past her. And picks up one down to core. He's fielding it long on, just below us here.
Looks like Rana's just collided with the non-striker as she dived for that one and seems to have taken a slight blow on the head.
Yep.
All smiles all around.
Physio's coming on, I think. Well, I don't know where to look at the moment. There's all sorts of strange things going on. The physio's arrived, but also, it's a little medical bag she's got there. That's one of the smallest medical bags I've ever seen a physio. It's like this little thing you get given when you get on an aeroplane, down the back, and you get your toothbrush in it. I'm not sure what's in that. And off she goes. 65 for 2. And the PA announcer revving up the crowd. Not that they really need it. They're having a great time. 65 for 2. A ball to go in the 7th over then. The target 165. In goes Rana and bowls, and Danny Wyatt's on the back foot, chopping it away straight to point. They don't run this time. And that is the end of a highly eventful over. And I implore you, if you can, to watch a replay of that, because it was bizarre. It almost qualifies for a question of sports, what happened next, because you couldn't possibly imagine that they'd actually go for a second run there. It's extraordinary. 7 overs then. India was 73 for no wicket, England 65 for 2. Here's the comparison. Well, Melissa, what do you reckon to that?
I thought it was disastrous, to be honest with you. As you say, there was never a 2 there. Of course, it was an opportunity to sneak through for a quick run, but it was as if Alice Capsey had turned blind there, or not actually checked how far the ball had gone.
I don't know what happened, because she did seem to be looking up, but I don't know what happened. But how can you run 2, or even take a run with the wicket keeper's got the ball in her hands? Anyway, 65 for 2. Pooja's coming on. Bowls medium pace, turned away into the leg side. Single for Siva. Just needs to be a bit of calm restored, really. Just got to keep moving along at a rate, but leave Danny Wyatt to play the adventurous hand at the moment. 29 from 23 balls, and Siva just bring a little bit of calm.
Pooja Vastrika as well. She'll play that vital role in the middle over. She'll bang the ball into the pitch back of her length and just allow these two just to knock it around. She's not usually too expensive.
A slight figure. In she comes now. Ball medium pace outside the off stump, and Danny Wyatt, she likes to do, chops that away into the offside for a single. 67 for 2 in the 8th over. Sunlit Edgbaston, lovely and warm. Beach balls being knocked about, I see, out there in the crowd. Holly's stand quieter than it usually is, but people enjoying themselves. But, no fancy dress to be seen in there today. 67 for 2. Vastrika again past the umpire, bowls short of a length, pulled by Siva. Picks up 1 there to the fielder coming on the deep mid-wicket boundary. Still that theme of the Commonwealth Games colours, that pinky purple. Lots of different names for it, I suppose, but that's about the best I can do. Not quite pink, not quite purple, but that's the colours up there on the banners with the white writing. 68 for 2. Vastrika bowls short and is pulled into the leg side. A bit of top edge about it. Doesn't carry to long leg, who throws the ball back again, and it's another run. 69 for 2. Vastrika just taking that opportunity to bowl a short ball. There are fielders out in the deep on the leg side. That's probably worth having a go, just in case Wyatt hold out to one of them. It was an uncontrolled stroke. 69 for 2. The target 165. Vastrika again comes in bowls, and Siva hoiks that into the leg side, beats the mid-wicket fielder inside the circle. Back they come for the second. Danny Wyatt running to the far end, runs a bat in. Good running. You don't see a lot of 2s in women's cricket because of the shorter boundary.
Yeah, and she made sure that Danny Wyatt to run her bat in the way that the curve is not down. I think there's going to be a stern word in that England changing room after that Alice Capsey dismissal.
Yes, it was bizarre, wasn't it? I mean, she's very young, but you just seemed to lose the plot there. Vastrika bowls short, pulled away into the leg side again. Down to Meghna Singh at fine leg. 72 for 2. 8 overs gone then. Siva 6. Danny Wyatt has 31. And England, they got off to a good start. Dunkley was an LBW for 19. And then that bizarre run out of Alice Capsey's for 13. So Danny Wyatt is 31 now from just 25 balls. She's hit 5 fours. We saw some terrific batting from India earlier on. But, I do agree with Snell. I think they probably were. If they felt a little bit shorter than certainly they were threatening to get. I mean, 170 seemed like a likely score. Rana's on her way, bowls, and that's a lovely shot from Siva. Dancing down the pitch and lofting that over mid-off and down to the boundary to our left for 4 runs. But an effortless stroke, didn't try and hit it too hard. Just a good connection, making sure she got the ball over the fielder inside the circle. And once that's done, it's 4 runs here. 76 for 2 in the 9th. 3 fielders on the leg side boundary over to our right. Rana strides in. She's wearing number 2 on her back. Tosses that up. It is a low full toss, in fact. Driven along the ground to mid-off. Shefali Verma fields. 76 for 2. Just hanging back there on the edge of the circle. Rana in her second over. Bowls her off spin. Up it goes. It's driven hard. Another elegant stroke from Siva, but straight this time. So Begna Singh inside the circle. They're wringing her fingers. That was struck very hard.
She's building up some nice pressure here, Sneha Rana, with that off-break bowling. Of course, India don't have a wrist spinner in this team, as Snehal pointed out. So it's just going to depend on the finger spin, building up some pressure.
76 for 2, the target 165. 5 inside the circle. As the next ball from Rana is tossed up pretty straight, turned away to the leg side. Lovely piece of fielding there. Doesn't affect a run out, but it was a lovely piece of work at mid-wicket. And just suddenly Siva thought, oh no, I've got to get a move on here, because it was the outstretched hand of Mandano, who's had a terrific game so far. Flinging herself there to her right. 77 for 2. 2 balls to go in the 9th. Runner's ready. Strides in, pacing up to the crease, and she's down there very quickly. Danny Wyatt is helping out across a little ramped sweep shot and picks up 4.
Fantastic, innovative shot there from Wyatt. It's not her normal style of play, but she got off to a flyer in the power play, and that's the problem when teams face her. If you bowl outside her off stump early on, let her gain that confidence with those strong shots through the covers. She builds up that confidence, she builds up that momentum. When she gets more settled in her innings, she'll bring out those kind of shots, and it was so delicate, but still went for 4.
Yeah, fine stroke. 81 for 2. A ball to go in the 9th. And strides in again. Over goes her arm and wide. Oh, she's, I think, hit it into her own stumps. Trying to repeat that shot. Oh, she's out bowled. And she looks dismayed as she walks off, still holding the bat over her head and down her back there. Desolate.
Well,
she got down in the position to try this reverse sweep again. It's outside the off stump. And she's actually just, well, nudged the ball into her stumps. Horrible way to get out. And she was playing so well. And that feels like a really big wicket now. 81 for 3. She was playing so fluently, playing around the crease. But, well, it goes down as bowled for 35 from 27 balls. And England now are 81 for 3.
He felt it was the wrong delivery to go for there. It was outside the off stump and actually quite short. If she'd gone for her stronger shot, cut the ball, she would have picked up a single. But again, looking for the boundary. England needs 7.5 runs and over, roughly. That probably includes a boundary every over. But she got the ball before. It wasn't necessary to find another one. And it feels as if that 3rd wicket for England, it's fortunate they bat so deep. But India's going to be feeling confident now and feeling as if they're probably on top, with Amy Jones coming to the crease.
At the non-striker's end, the captain's still there, the acting captain, and she's on strike now, as this is short, pulled hard, out to deep mid-wicket. Nicely picked up in the deep. One more. I might see another replay of this dismissal now. I couldn't see if it came off the bat or off her pad. She tried to get into position. I think it might have come off her pad, you know.
Yeah, just didn't quite watch the ball onto her bat, and you mentioned her reaction, immediate annoyance from Danny Wyatt. She just didn't play that well at all, really. It's 2 very disappointing dismissals for England with Wyatt and Capsey.
It's a strange one, that. Oh, here's the next ball, short once more, pulled into the leg side to get Amy Jones off the mark. Oh, the two fielders there get a real mix-up. And they can come back for two. But a comedy of errors out there in the deep. And, well, they just sort of totally messed it up, really, and gave away that second run. So 84 for 3. Some sort of misunderstanding between the two of them. Who's going to go for what? One of them nearly got studded by the other.
It was Harley and Dio and I think Meghna Singh out there.
Yes.
Little communication. They make up with a handshake afterwards, but they did just run into each other.
84 for 3 in the 10th. How was this going to go? Well, it hits her on the pad, runs away into the offside. Come through for what I assume is a leg bye. We'll watch the umpire just waiting, make sure the ball's flying around a bit at the moment. Yep, there's the leg bye signal. 85 for 3. Halfway through the 10th over.
She is bowling the correct way, you would say, to Siva and Wyatt, with that back of a length bowling, shorter pitch, and just tucking them up, aiming for that thigh pad. There's not many options for England apart from getting the single onto the onside.
Fastelkar again on her way and bowls, and that's nicely played by Siva off the back foot. It's a crowd catch, everybody. Hit hard into the ground. And well, we've seen the crowd done a few times with those over the last few days.
I fell for a few of them myself.
Oh, it's easily done. It's easily done.
I'll learn.
But I think it's so dry and hard that actually even you don't hit that firmly to take the ball on the bounce to the fielders inside the circle. 85 for 3. Fastelkar moves in, bowls. Oh, it's an ugly shot. Siva's lucky there. Almost lost her off stump.
She's bowling fantastically on this wicket. It's got a nice carry through, and she's just landing the ball on the same spot every time, you think. It's one of those middle over bowlers where she sneaks through her overs and you don't quite realise. And she hasn't
Not
gone
sure
for
what Siva's
many
trying
here.
to do there. You know, that was just a optimistic swish, really. Almost cost her wicket. 85 for 3. Here's the last ball of the 10th. And Siva this time plays a late dab into the offside. She could get one. They're thinking about the second. The throw's on the way. And wisely, after what's been going on, they decide against it. So, halfway through that target, 165. So, well, they're more or less on target, but they have lost those 3 wickets. It just feels a bit nervy for me, Melissa. So, time for me to go. Jeff's coming in.
Well, it's been nervy. We saw the reaction of England after their fielding innings. They didn't look too happy. There was plenty of hands on hips, and these two teams have had some tight games together recently. The last 9 games, there's been 1 no result, 2 wins by less than 10 runs, and 5 games have been won with 9 or fewer balls remaining. So across these last few years of these two teams facing each other, we've had some thrillers, and I'm sure the crowd here will be hoping for some of the same.
Well, they sound like well-matched sides, and they look like them too. So this will be very interesting. Shefali Verma is going to bowl. She has been bowling a little bit lately as an off-spinner to try to get through a couple of overs, but she's not the most convincing. She bowls very wide of the off-stump, driven out to deep cover for a single by Siva. Takes the score on to 88 for 3. She is a bowler that they could target. She bowls very slow spin, loops it up. See if she can draw a big attacking shot, find an error. Or this could be the over where England go big and put a real dint in the remaining run chase. 3 out on the leg side, 1 out at deep cover. Shefali drags it down to Jones, and it's just tickled away down the leg side. There's nothing on that, says the umpire, so it's given a wide, and they run through for an extra as well. So 2 free runs for England. India can ill afford. 89 for 3.
And of course, Shefali occupying that 6th bowler kind of territory. They may try and sneak a few of her overs through.
She bowls now to Jones, who's going back, turning it away. Siva rather. Away to deep backward square leg. For 1 more, 90 for 3.
And they need to make up for those overs from Renuka Singh Thakur, who's not had the best day so far. She's had a standout competition, but something's not quite clicking today. So Shefali making up for that.
Got the yips today. Shefali bowls a better delivery outside the off stump. It's pushed out to deep cover point for 1. They won't head back for the second. 91 for 3.
Do we know why they're called the Yips?
No,
No.
never thought
Has
about
anyone
it.
ever questioned this?
Well, I'm sure some people have, but nobody has spoken to me about it. I mean, I would have thought a yip is something that a small dog does.
Yip, yip.
Shefali Verma bowls outside the off stump, driven away to backward point, no run. Can't get through the field. Siva.
And Siva's got an important role to play here. England captain, propelling her team towards what could be a gold medal, a silver medal. She's got a lot of work to do.
Shefali Verma bowls to her, walking at the spinner, knocking the ball out to square leg, wanting a second run, given she tapped it away softly, but Amy Jones not interested. And that fairly errant throw comes into the bowler, who's not happy with it. Does the old extend the hands. Can't you see I'm walking here kind of thing. 92 for 3. Siva's got 16. Shefali Verma bowls to Jones, drives hard, beats extra cover. Chase on in the deep, the sweeper getting around will cut it off, but they get a couple more runs, so they're collecting runs nicely. Even when they're not hitting the boundaries, it ends up being reasonably profitable over with a raft of singles, plus the 2, plus the wide. They're 94 for 3 after 11.
And that's Harleen out there patrolling the boundary, which we've seen Jemima Rodrigues patrol this competition. Now, some people have suggested that because her injury was pre-existing, then she shouldn't be allowed a substitute for this. I'm not too sure what the rules are or whether the injury subsided then has returned in this first innings, but a bit of controversy.
Well,
But then you would say that Jemima Rodrigues is arguably the best fielder in the Indian team, so it wouldn't
so
be
having her substituted is
actually not.
in the interests of England. Interesting. Okay, well, we're starting off a new over with Radha Yadav, the left-arm orthodox spinner, who's just getting the ball driven back to her by Siva. So England, the required rate, just sneaks up above 8 again. It hasn't been above 8 since early in the innings. Started at 8.25, now it's 8.04.
Making plenty of changes to the field here, India, and square leg's been sent up into the ring and then sent back as they've opted for long on, deep mid-wicket, deep square and deep cover instead.
It's not a field change, it's a beat test. Goes down and sweeps to Siva out to deep backward square. Takes the single. So the singles keep coming. They need 70 from 52 deliveries. So entirely doable for players of this sort of calibre to close up that gap of 18 between balls remaining and runs are required.
There's been a really interesting graphic actually about that Danny Wyatt dismissal, which I'll explain after this delivery.
Radha Yadav bowls on the leg stump, hitting the pad, appealing, should have been going down the leg side. She's up and celebrating. She went for the appeal, turned it into a celebra appeal, and has come back to an appeal. So the umpire has said, no, surely they've got to review this based on the bowler's celebration. I've got to say, watching from behind the batter, it looked initially like it might be going down leg.
I've checked the front foot and it's
I'm not sure whether there was a bit of bat involved, but as you say, the reaction of the bowler there was almost a guaranteed dismissal.
Gave it the big aeroplane arms, the Stuart Broads.
It's the curse of Broad.
Don't celebrate too soon. Okay, we're seeing a replay now. Left arm orthodox, rolled out of the fingers. It is straightening down the line. That's not a bad shout, but I think it's probably going to be an orange light on leg stump.
I'm not sure whether the bowler thought it was hitting her on the back leg, which would have been a better shout.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a gap on the right as the ball passes the bat. There's a flat line. First impact, roll it through is pad. Can we go to ball tracking when ready, please?
So no edge, says umpire Claire Polisak from Australia.
Thank you. Original decision not out.
Pitching on about leg
Pitching
stump,
in line.
hitting
Impact is umpire's call.
and just missing the leg stump.
Eloise, I'll get you to
So I
stick
think, as you say, given that she was down on one knee sweeping, maybe Radha Yadav read that ball as having hit the back leg rather than the front pad.
But not to be for India. It would have been a massive wicket and would have definitely tested the strength of England's batting line that we've mentioned so often. They basically bat down to 11.
So not out, It's 95 for 3 remains the score. Amy Jones remains in the middle. Radiyadov bowls the same ball. This time Jones stands up and plays it with a straight bat. Out to square leg for a single.
So there was that interesting thing with Danni White's dismissal. The ball before she was dismissed, when she made that paddle shot, she was fully down on one knee.
Radiyadov bowls to Siva, who plays a back cut, won't get a single, 96 for 3.
But the delivery which dismissed her was a tiny bit wider outside the off stump. She didn't go down fully onto her knee, which meant she almost lost her balance a little bit, fell back, and that's where we saw the ball go from her pads into the stumps.
Radiyadov bowls to Siva, who sweeps hard. Again, the boundary rider back, a deep backward square leg, so the singles keep coming. But this over has tightened it up. The required rate 8.5 now. They need 68 from 48 after 12 overs. England 97 for 3. The captain at the crease, Nat Siva on 18. Amy Jones there on 6. She can be hit and miss. This is quite a tense situation for this English team. So Alice Capsey's already come and gone. Maya Bouchier will be due in next. Has had to do very little with the bat in this tournament. Took a wonderful catch earlier today, so she's in the game one way or another. And then you're into the bowlers / all-rounders. Brunt, Eccleston, Kemp, Glenn, Wong, all of whom have reputations for being able to belt a long ball, but not necessarily players you want to leave too much up to.
And the wicket of Capsey, the only batter in the England lineup who's averaging over 25 at the moment. So there's been a few struggles recently for a few of their players. Amy Jones was struggling, but then had a good innings the other day with Catherine Brunt. But it's about performing on these occasions when you've got the crowd behind you, the pressure of making that final. It's just an extra combination of difficulty.
Well, England's big performer is Siva. And she'll be facing Renuka Singh Thakur, who's back and hitting the pitch this time. That's a decent start, bowling straight at middle stump. Driven away to mid-on, no run. Every dot ball pushes that required rate up. 68 from 47 required.
And the required rate now more than the original rate. So similar to India, England getting off to a flyer. And as soon as the power play was over, the field was spread and it's got a lot harder to score out there.
Renuka Singh bowls outside the off stump, hit hard by Siva, picks the gap at backward point. That's a great shot. They have two players effectively have a point and a backward point close together, and that absolutely scalpel precision splits between them and raises England's 100. 101 for 3. So while Siva's out there, you'd think the chances lie with England.
And every boundary is being celebrated by these 4 and 6 cards in the crowd being waved around. It feels like you're at some concert with everyone's phones and torches on. But a fantastic atmosphere here, and every run being applauded. The big 64 more runs to win is now on the big screen to make the crowd aware of just how tight this game's going to be.
Well, if you've got a 6 sign and a 4 sign, then you can make 64. Here comes Renuka Singh, bowling outside the off stump, beating Siva as she tries to, I don't even know what stroke she was trying to play, just sort of hung the bat there and hoped that it might hit some part of it and go somewhere.
She gets stuck into this shot sometimes, Siva, where she moves her front foot probably about an inch forward and doesn't transfer the weight at all, hangs her bat out, as you say, and expects the ball to magically find the middle. She's 22 of 25 and things haven't quite got flowing yet. They will when she gets her feet moving.
101 for 3. Renuka Singh bowls to her, slower ball outside off stump. She drives it past the bowler, runs with the shot for a single. Underarm throw hits the stumps from Harmanpreet Kaur, but Siva's made her ground safely at the non-striker's end. 102 for 3. A lot happening from one ball.
Even that shot from Siva was an improvement. She moved her feet a bit more, leaning into it, and when she's fully flying, you'll see her belt the ball down the ground. Massive striding. Both these players strong down the ground.
Such a powerful player, Natalie Siva. And really hit the long bombs when she's got her eye in. Renuka Singh Thakur bowls to Amy Jones, wide of the off stump, cut out to deep cover point. They trot through for a single rather than sprint this time. Save a bit of energy for these last 7 overs. 1 ball to come in the 13th.
I just wonder here whether we've been seeing these two England batters sweep well off the spinners, whether they'd consider that option now against Renuka Singh Thakur. As square leg gets up in the ring, so is fine leg. With the pace she's bowling, any little dab would go down for 4.
Lap shot, scoop shot. She bowls very wide of off stump to avoid any risk of that sort of shot. And it's cut out to deep point for a single. So England takes 7 off the over. They need 8.7 at the moment. So they need 61 from 42 balls. 13 overs gone, 104 for 3.
Yeah, much more controlled over there from Renuka Singh. You mentioned hanging the ball outside the off stump, and India have been guilty, and so have England before, of having these plans but not quite executing them. She didn't execute the plans in her first over, but she has in that one. And India have plenty of options as we go into those final 7 overs, who they'll go to. I can imagine we'll see a bit more spin, and then it'll be back to the quicks to see what they can do in the death overs.
Well, we've seen 7 bowlers used so far. Renuka Singh, none for 31 from 3. She's been expensive after having a good tournament, but Deepti Sharma's got a couple left, Sneh Rana a couple, Puchavastraka a couple, and we're seeing Radha Yadav being driven down to long on for 1. She's in her second over at the moment, the left arm spinner. 105 for 3, and that's Siva up to 25. Hasn't broached the runner ball mark yet though, 25 from 28, which is unusually slow for her, one of the fastest scorers in the world. And there goes Amy Jones, trying to score just as quickly. Hit high, down towards long off. It bounces just inside the rope. So it'll be 4. Would have been an easy catch if they'd had the field back, but she took the risk with the fielder up at mid-off. Goes over the top successfully, 109 for 3.
Yeah, Amy Jones, fantastic use of the feet, risk-free shot in the end, and it's forced a change in field now as the fielders push back at long off, long on, and it's meant that square leg has to be brought inside the ring, meaning it opens up that sweep shot option again.
They do tend to be shot chasers at times, the Indian team in the field. Wide of the off stump, driven through the covers. That's a good shot, but the sweeper will keep them to 1. 110 for 3. You just often see Harmanpreet Kaur chasing the game, moving her boundary riders exactly where the last shot has just gone.
And you've got to be, you've got to have conviction about your field and the original field you set.
Radha Yadav around the wicket to the right-handed Siva, who cuts a run to cover, almost directly to the fielder, but just far enough to the side of her that they're able to get through. 111 for 3.
There's been various chants across the day. We're hearing the chant for England now, but there was only India about 5 minutes ago, so it feels almost like a dance-off in the crowd. I must say this one a bit louder.
Radha Yadav bowls very wide of the off stump, driven to deep cover for a single. So India happy to give up that run time and again, and England happy to take it. They're just foxing both sides, just feeling each other out. It's like boxers going around the ring, neither of them willing to throw a punch right yet. England need 53 from 37 balls. So they'll have to take a swing pretty soon. Radha Yadav bowls to Jones, who cuts hard out to deep cover for a single. On the dance goes, 113 for 3 after 14 overs. So 6 overs left, 36 balls to come, 52 runs required. So that gap, 16 between runs to score and balls remaining. And that's Siva on 27, Amy Jones on 13. I have to say England with the best chance while this pair remain. If a wicket falls, suddenly India could be the ones to turn the screws. Wonderful crowd in here today. You barely see an empty seat from up here in the commentary box. Beautiful sunshine, summer afternoon on the weekend. People have flocked down to see England women play India, as has Snehal Pradhan, who's joining me once again. Nice to see you.
Thank you very much. Very nervous, Snehal Pradhan. I might add, this game is dovetailing towards its end nicely, and I've just heard the word super over mentioned somewhere behind in the box.
Okay, super overs in England. Yep, I remember a couple of them. So 8.7 needed per over. England might get 4 of those here. Big full toss, swept out to deep backward, but it will be cut off, so they'll only get 1 run. Deepti Sharma gets away with a poor delivery, and that has been a big part of the game today. A lot of the fact that England got off to such a fast start was down to India making mistakes with the bowling, the wides, the no balls, the full tosses.
Yeah, but now it's really up to India's best three bowlers on the day. Deepti Sharma, Sneha Rana, Pooja Vastakar, each of them a couple of overs left each, leading into these last 6.
So Jones waits for Deepti Sharma, bowls very wide of the off stump, cut out to deep cover point. They'll take 1 run and no more than that. So each single just helps India push that required run rate up a little bit further. 115 for 3 at the moment. 8.82 is the number now required. 50 needed from 34 balls, that translates to.
Feels like almost we're seeing a game of chess. I mean, you called it boxing. I'm going to call it a game where each team is making one square move at a time.
Deepti Sharma floats up an off break, turned away fine. They'll get through for a run. 116 for 3. I'm pretty sure there's a combination of chess boxing that some people play, where you sit down and play a few rounds of chess and then go and spend 3 minutes in the ring and then go back to the chessboard.
Well, I've heard of 3D chess, but this is quite something else.
I'm not even making this up. I'm pretty sure it actually exists. Deepti Sharma, very wide of the off stump, flirting with the ball is Amy Jones, but unable to make contact. So it's about a fusion of brains and brawn, you see, whether you can still think straight at the chessboard after you've just been whacked in the head a few times.
You know, one of my favorite things about fiction is the fact that every fiction world makes up a fictional game within that fictional world as well.
Deepti, reverse sweep, straight to short fine leg, can't get through the field, a couple of dot balls in a row. Oh, this is excellent stuff from Deepti Sharma, pushes the required run rate up to 9.5 suddenly. 49 from 31 needed.
Deepti Sharma, economy rate 5.6. Pooja Vastakar, economy rate 5.5. They've been India's best on the day.
Outstanding. And Deepti bowls wide of off stump, trying to come across the line and hit hard to leg is Jones, who can only get a little edge that gets her a single out towards short mid-wicket. So 117 for 3. After 15 overs, England need 48 from the last 30 deliveries. One big over could swing it for England. A wicket could swing it for India. Gold and silver medal places on the line. And Jonathan Agnew coming in to see us home.
And that is really the big story of the day, isn't it? That these two teams aren't just playing a semi-final, they're playing a semi-final of the first ever Commonwealth Games to feature T20 cricket, women's cricket, putting up the exhibition on behalf of the entire global cricketing community with so much at stake. And these two sets of players want it so bad, don't they? They want that gold medal, which is a very different experience from a World Cup.
That is true. No, we're not going to fall out over this, are we? We're going to be okay. We're going to keep things nice and easy and gentle and describe what goes on here. The first ball of the 16th over. There's an attempted paddle sweep there from Jones. The ball runs away to fine leg and they go trotting through. So 118 for 3, 47 more needed from 29 balls. I'm going to hang the super over possibility out there. And also watching the clock. I was settling down there, so I didn't see it this time, about the over rate, because India are very close to bowling their overs too slowly, and that would mean that they would lose a deep fielder if that is the case. This is outside the off stump, chopped away by Siva. That's the fielder coming across at deep extra cover out there. 119 for 3. So yes, so the cut-off time comes, and if India are behind the rate, and they're quite close at the moment, the penalty for that is having to bring another fielder inside the circle. So we're keeping an eye on that as well. That could have an impact. Certainly more drama anyway. 119 for 3, 46 more needed. As the next one's outside the off stump, driven. Oh, straight through the fielder there. Inside the circle, extra cover. Will they come back for the second? Yes, they will. Renuka Singh. Bad miss there. It was hit hard at her, but straight at her. That's right, got a little hand to it, but not much else. And basically it went straight through her legs.
This is a very interesting tactical decision by India to have Shefali Verma bowl her second over. I initially thought Shefali was just bowling an over to cover up for the pace bowlers, but India have identified that pace off as slow as possible is the way to go, and Shefali's gone under 70 for one ball in this innings. Usually that 60 km/h range is where Poonam Yadav would operate. I can see that she's walking in slower than she normally does, very deliberately trying to take pace off.
It is very slow, isn't it? Outside the off stump, driven square, and the fielder dives over the ball there. It's heading out towards the boundary. The fielder dives, can't get there. Oh, a couple of little raggedy moments there in India's fielding. And, well, she's across herself there, tossing the ball away. She had a bit of ground to make up, but she got there, and then the ball went under her arm and away to that point boundary. So 125 for 3, 40 more needed from 26 balls. Tension starting to bite.
Exactly what England needed after that last over, which saw only 4 runs. 8 runs already off this over.
Next one, the ball is so slow it barely reaches, and it's been pulled away. A reverse sweep by Amy Jones into the offside boundary. Oh, that was so slow it barely arrived. It was taking the pace off. 129 for 3, and this is a very telling over indeed. 1 ball remains in it still, cleverly put away by Jones.
England having to provide the pace here. Amy Jones just toe-ending that one, but getting enough on it, enough in the rotations in her hips to have the energy to get to 4.
Shefali bowls, it's swept into leg side this time. A chase for the fielder, running outside the circle. She should get there if she dives. In fact, she doesn't have to dive. She just keeps herself inside the boundary. Back they come for the 3rd, and they make it. And you very rarely see all-run 3s in women's cricket. You saw one there. These two really getting their heads down, making their ground. 132 for 3. Siva 30, Jones 29, 33 now needed from 24 balls. I wonder if that's the game-changing over.
What atmosphere we are witnessing here at Edgbaston. We talked about the history of this moment. We talked about how each team really wants a place in that final, a chance to place that gold medal around their necks. Well, India took a risk with Shefali Verma. It has not come off. 15 runs off that over. And England are back in front in this game. 51-run partnership between these two comes up in 43 balls. And I suspect in these last 4 overs, they are going to look to score a bit faster than that.
Well, a good throw there. And that would have been a run out. Now we start the 17th over. There's a reverse sweep. Fielder just inside the boundary there is able to field that. So Jones remains on 29. It's Deepti bowling up at this end. Where's the deep fielders? Point, long off, long on, and deep mid-wicket as this off-spinner is driven into the offside. Just for a single. We're able to come in off that boundary over to our left. 133 for 3. Heather Knight, I can see. Oh, she must be so desperately disappointed that she's not playing in this. Part of the action. England's captain with a hip injury, of course. She's sitting there watching below us. 133 for 3. Deepti Sharma waits for everyone to settle down. Interesting, yes, interesting. That deep fielders come a bit straighter out there, and this is driven up to mid-off on the edge of the circle. Thought about the single, but it was very nicely stopped by Verma. 32 from 21. Good over this so far for India. This game is swinging around all over the place. 133 for 3. Deepti again moves in, bowls, and that spins into the pad. Oh, there's no run. Fielders rushing in from all directions to grab it. It was the keeper that got there first. What a good over this is so far.
And she's operating at a very interesting field. She's got a short third, a backward point, a fielder just ahead of the point line of square line, and a deep, very, very square deep cover.
It's down the leg side. Certainly 1 run here. Paddled away. The fielder coming in from deep square leg, but England need a boundary really. That's only the 2nd run off this over with a ball to go.
This is a big delivery.
It is. It is a big delivery. I think she's going to have to try and hit a boundary. 30, not out for Jones. And what are they doing? Well, square leg comes up inside the circle. Point has dropped back. Last ball of the over. In she goes. Bowls wide outside the off stump. A little bit of slow turn there. The ball's pushed away just for a single. And that rather balances out the previous over, actually, because that was a terrific over. Just 3 singles from it. It's 135 for 3. So England need 30 from the last 18 balls. They have got wickets in hand. They've got 2 batters who are established, and that's important. Siva 31, Jones has 31. They put on 54 from 49 balls. They're going to have to press a little bit faster than that. The required rate is now 10. How much more excitement do you want?
I'm looking at my smartwatch again. My heart rate is up there. The heart rate of the crowd is up there. The players who matter, though, they will be taking some deep breaths, some big gulps, and trying to keep themselves cool, trying to keep themselves calm. This is where it gets really down to whether these players can do those boring words, execute their processes. It comes down to whether they can just keep it extremely simple and do what they train to do under pressure. Critically, Deepti Sharma is now bowled out. Sneha Rana comes in with 2 overs to go.
Yep, again slow off spin. Up she comes now, bowls outside the off stump, tries to drag it into the leg side. The bails are off, but taken off by the keeper.
Sneha Rana has a deep mid-wicket, a long on, a long off and a deep cover. So square leg is where the boundary opportunity is, and that's the shot that Amy Jones was attempting. Also an opportunity to go inside out over cover.
Jones on strike. Rana strides in again from the far end, bowls outside the off stumps, driven up towards extra cover, fielded securely, the throw comes in, there's a run out. Jones run out at the non-striker's end is a beautiful piece of fielding, actually by the fielder, made a mistake in the previous over at that far end. Now Nat Siva remains, but England still need 30, and the ball's now starting to tick away, and there's a look out there amongst the Indians, all gathering. There's a celebration going on as a very disappointed Jones makes her way off. She'd played very well, but she was miles out there. She was relying really on a misfield, which didn't happen.
And when you hit to Radha Yadav, you are very rarely going to get a misfield. An absolutely electric fielder getting across the ground nicely. It was on her right. She's a left-hander, picked it up, got her left hand in operation to throw a soft and accurate throw straight into Sneha Rana's hands next to the stumps. Amy Jones was not even in the frame.
No.
Brings Maya Dushie to the crease, and the drama just multiplies.
It does. 30 more from 16 balls. The winner of this game goes through to tomorrow's final, which of course gold and silver medals are at stake. The loser will go into a playoff for bronze against the loser of the evening game here between Australia and New Zealand. 30 more needed, 16 more balls. As Rana comes in, bowls, and that's flicked away down towards wide long on by Siva. They'll take a single. 29 more from 15 balls. Boundaries now urgently needed, and yet the new batter hasn't faced a ball yet. Bouchier took a brilliant catch earlier. Looks around the field then. There's a fielder at deep point, and then 3 on the leg side boundary. Crowd animated. And again, they've got this field of these 3 fielders on the edge of the circle, all behind square on the offside. As Rana comes in, bowls, and that's scythed away into the offside. Probably only for 1. Fielder's got the ball in her hands now. Up to the bowler's end it goes. Well, singles aren't going to get England over the line. 28 more from 14 balls.
India have been very tactical with their fields, and this is something that we've seen over the last couple of series with a new video analyst joining in to their squad.
137 for 4. Rana bowls, and there's a peel flag before wicket. She really wants it. Been given not out. They might have a conference about this. It certainly started outside the off stump. I wonder if that's the verdict, that Nat Siva just got her front pad outside the line. But I don't think they're going to review this. The timer's ticking away. I think after a brief conference, they've decided, are they going to go for it? I think they have got. Yes, they have. Here we go. The signal, the very last moment, just to prolong the agony.
Review for LBW. The original decision was not out.
So not out.
Foot, and it is a fair delivery.
Was the original verdict. So we all wait and see now.
Looked to me like this hit her outside the line.
Well, that's what I thought. Yeah, I thought that, I must say.
But because it's Nat Siva, they've gone for this.
Yeah. I mean, it is a big wicket. And we're just looking at a replay and the first review.
Thank you. The ball is passing over the bat. Can we confirm with ultra edge, please?
There's a little look, see whether there's a little deflection there or not from the bat into the pad. I think there probably is. And funnily enough, I think they all think there is too, because everyone's got back into position. It's our old friend Ultra Edge who's been very slow. Let's have a look now. Is that coming off the bottom edge? Yes, it's a clear edge.
Yeah, thanks. Just bring that back up in for me, please.
Good decision by the umpire.
Forward one more frame as the
And
ball
Siva
passes.
survives.
Yeah, thank you. There is a line spike when the ball passes the bat. Eloise, I'll get you to stick with your original decision of not out. You're on screen now.
Right. Well, that's the relief from the crowd. The first time they've heard that, or at least the England supporters here. 137 for 4. 28 needed from 13 balls with Nat Siva on strike. And Rana will bowl the last ball of this over from the City end. She strides in now, bowls an off spinner. She's outside the off stump. Siva tucks it away to the leg side. It's only going to be for one, I think. As the fielder has it now. And so, 27 more needed from the last 2 overs. And there's got to be something pretty special here for England to win this match.
I suspect Harmanpreet Kaur might bowl this over herself.
Oh.
No, she's gone to Pooja Vasakar. She hasn't bowled herself so far. She's been taking pace off so far at the back end of the innings. Pooja Vasakar, though, is known to be a dependable bowler who can nail her Yorkers. But this gives England the opportunity. This really is the over which can define the match.
Yeah, it is.
Pace on. Can England make use of that pace? They'll look much more comfortable against the pace bowlers today.
This over has to go to give England a chance of knocking off this target in the last over. Pooja Vasakar will bowl her medium pace. Keeper is back. It's 3 in the leg side boundary. Deep backward square leg. Deep mid wicket and long on. And again, as has been a feature, the offside sweeper is really quite straight to the deep extra cover. So 12 balls to go. England need 27 more runs. Nat Siva is on strike. Vasakar runs in, bowls to her. It's short and flogged into the leg side, only as far as deep mid wicket though, who prevents the boundary. Siva loses strike. And England score just 1. 26 more from 11.
Very
slower
good,
ball there,
Vasakar.
wasn't it?
Very good. She's been with her length. She's been hitting the hard length, trying to hit the top of the bat, forcing the batters to play the cross-batted shots, not allowing them to use the pace and go down the ground. What does she do to Boucher?
11 balls to go. And she goes now, bowls. Boucher steps away, hits that hard out to this fielder who I mentioned is unusually straight. A deep extra cover, but perfectly placed on this occasion because it's only 1 run. 140 for 4, just 2 singles from this over so far. England need 25 more to win from 10 balls. Gold and silver medals are dangling there. 25 more needed from 10 balls. Vasakar bowls is short, pulled away out towards deep mid wicket for 6. Oh, a thump of the gloves between Siva and Boucher there. That was a poor ball. It was dragged down, and Siva hit it for 6. Oh, is there still something left? I can see the England rising there from the dugout. Danny Wyatt punching the air. Catherine Brunt shouting something. She's done a lot of that today. Usually it's her own players.
The power of Natalie Siva that we've been talking about finally coming to the fore, dragging England back.
What's she going to do now? It's pitched up down the leg side. Keeper can't get it. And the ball runs agonisingly into the boundary at fine leg. What's it come off? It doesn't matter. Bat or pad, it's come off something and just deflected the ball wide of the keeper. It's leg byes. 15 from 8. Super over also dangling there, rearing its head. Well, I've lost track of India's timekeeping. We don't know about that. This hasn't been on the screen for ages. Perhaps they're okay again, but they were behind. 150 up. 15 needed from 8 balls. Pooja runs in, bowls, and it's heaved into the leg side. Might have their eye on 2 here. Fielder comes in, picks up. They're thinking about the second. He throws on the way to the keeper. I think it's run out. They're going to check it. India certainly think it is. She's in the air there. She dived. And it's Siva who went for the second run. The stumps are a mess. Coming back for that second run. 151 for 4 is the score.
Thank you.
And we're watching as the throw comes in. Comfortably out.
Has dislodged the bails. Just bring that back and freeze it for me.
And Siva is out. She rather fell on her sword there, going for that second. We mentioned earlier that you don't see a lot of twos in women's cricket. The boundaries are short. And that's very well taken by the keeper. And there's confirmation on the screen. And England need 14 more from 7 balls, and it's been a real emotional roller coaster this. 1 minute, England are flat, 6 is hit, they're up, jumping about, punching the air, but now they've lost their captain, run out for 41, good throw from the deep, nice piece of wicket keeping. 14 from 7, and there'll be a very nervous Indian bowler out there somewhere who'll be starting to realise that she's got a very tight final over to bowl.
Sneha Rana has to be Sneha Rana for that final over, but it was Smriti Mandhana with the throw. She ran in from deep mid-wicket, so she was 3/4 of the way in from the stumps, and a very powerful throw on the full to the keeper's gloves in a good position. Tanya Bhatia doing the rest. Nat Siver dragging England back. Nat Siver getting out pretty much next ball. And now Catherine Brunt on strike.
Yes, Catherine Brunt. She's had a mixed day, Catherine, so far. She's got the bat in her hand now. 14 from 7. The last ball is over, goes into bowls. It's a short ball outside the off stump. Brunt could do nothing with it. She's gesturing to the umpire there that should have been called a wide, but that's not the case. And England need 14 off the last over. 13, of course, takes it to a super over.
And Sneha Rana has a special relationship, I think, with England. She came here, really reignited her international career with that effort in the test match. Now then, the scoreboard is showing that India are 1 over behind.
Yes, oh, what a twist. 2 overs behind. Now that doesn't make it relevant as far as you've got to bring 2 players. You still bring 1 player in, but if that is correct, and the umpires have spotted that, it means that India, what a final twist this is, can now only have 3 fielders outside the circle because they've been too slow bowling their overs.
This is drama.
And up she comes. Yep, so there's only 3 out. Well, what a twist.
Just in case things weren't interesting enough.
So there's nobody out on the offside. The crowd have just been told the rule. So you can imagine a mixture of applause and boos depending on who you're supporting. Predominantly cheers. 151 for 5. This for a place in tomorrow's final. 14 needed from 6 balls. Boucher's on strike. The first is wide outside the off stump. There's appeal for a stumping. Given not out, but most important, there's no run. And it's 14 off 5.
And in the meantime, India just swapping a few boundary riders around, making sure they have their best fielders on the boundary. Smriti Mandhana and Pooja Vastakar dropping to deep mid-wicket, deep square leg. Harleen Deol at long on. Those are the only 3 fielders were allowed.
Proper tension, isn't it? And that's just the twist. Good rule, mind you. I like that.
I do.
So, 3 out on the leg side boundary. England need 14 from 5 balls. Here's the next one. Down the pitch, driving up towards mid-off. Has to go for the run. But it is only 1 run. 13 from 4. The agony is excruciating. Looking there at the shots from within the England dugout. Well, Catherine Brunt has had a very long, very distinguished career, predominantly with the ball. She can bat. But this is her moment. 13 from 4. In comes Rana from the far end. Bowls to Brunt, who hammers it towards mid-off. She's caught. Didn't quite have the elevation. And she walks off looking dejected. India celebrate as England appear to be going down now. 13 more from 3 balls. India know they've got this now for the taking. It was a low full toss. Certainly it was the right shot to play. But It didn't come out of the middle of the bat. It was a very calm catch, taking it mid-off, by the way.
We can see the replay, Harmanpreet Kaur. We can almost see her exhale as she prepares to take that catch, and absolutely still as she pouches it. 3 balls, 13 runs. England need boundaries. And Sophie Eccleston, who has hit quite a few of them for England in her career at the back end of T20s, comes to the crease. This game is not done. This game is alive. But India, with a fielder in, only allowed 3 on the boundary, have done really well. Sneh Rana has done really well. She's gone full, she's gone straight.
So Sophie Eccleston it is then, who hasn't exactly got much time to play herself in here. 13 from the last 3 balls. 12, of course, as I mentioned, is a tie and a super over. 152 for 6. She's ready now as Rana strides in from the city end, turns her arm over. Eccleston's down the pitch, driving it down to long on. The fielder comes in, drops it, and they take 1 run.
Harleen Deol was put there because she is one of the best fielders in this Indian lineup. 12th today. She is on the field in place of Jemima Rodrigues. Straight to her, just ran in a few strides, but she has let it go. But that means it is just 2 balls, 12 runs more, 2 sixes to win the game.
Rana strides in now, she bowls and pushes down the pitch, driving into the leg side. Just a single, and all they've got to do now is keep their heads, not bowl a no ball or a wide or anything silly like that. And it'll be India who go through to tomorrow's final to compete for the gold medal. And England only have the bronze available to them in tomorrow's match. Here's the last ball then. All it has to do is be a legal delivery, which it is. It's flicked away by Eccleston out towards Longwood. Actually, she's hit it for 6, to be fair. But there's no celebration, just a swish of the bat. And congratulations to India on a brilliant game of cricket, actually. That really was. That swung all over the place. And India win by 4 runs, and they're through to compete for the gold medal tomorrow. We'll find out who they're playing against later on this evening, at the conclusion of Australia, clearly the favourites, against New Zealand. But that was a good performance by India. They started off like a train, lost their way slightly mid-innings as England fought back with some wickets. Then boundaries at the end. Still the feeling though maybe they haven't quite got what they might have done, but that's a very disappointed looking England team I can see coming out. They're waiting for the Indians to come off and shake hands and so on. But that, obviously we've talked a lot from an England perspective, but that was a good performance by India.